Jason Minix, The Blitz.
Good Wednesday afternoon. Welcome into the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM. I'm Jason Minix. He is James Pledger, producing as he always does, dancing and dancing. He's a dancing machine today. You know, it's kind of one of those weird days, man. It's nice outside. Now granted, I haven't been outside in a couple hours. It might have changed, but you know, when I was out around noon, the weather was nice this morning. You know, my wife's out of town and my damn dogs, they normally wake her up at 4 in the morning or 3 in the morning. And all I do is hear about it. I'm kind of tough to wake up. You know, building could burn down around me and I'm going to be asleep. You can land at 7:47 and I'm going to be asleep. So, you know, my wife's out of town and, you know, about 4 o'clock this morning, you know, my damn dog is just scratching the hell out of me. And in fact, I don't know if you guys can see this on the camera, but look at that. I mean, you know, she got me up. She's still alive, but she did get me up. And you know, at 4 o'clock in the morning, it was nice. It was actually kind of chilly outside. So yeah, it's been one of those nice days, middle of the week, and we're going to learn something today about run, pass, balance from head coach Mike McCarthy. See, Mike McCarthy knows that his quarterback threw it 58 times against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But see, us average football fans, us casual fans, don't really understand that wasn't really 58 passes that Dak Prescott threw the other night. See, it's all about balance and then what you define as a run versus what you define as a pass. Although, you know, my pea brain says I looked at the box score and it says pass attempts, passes completed. But there's so much more to it. So we're going to go to class with Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy here in a bit on the Blitz. And we're going to learn something because the Cowboys were a lot more balanced Thursday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers than what we thought. We'll explain. We'll let Mike McCarthy explain. Lots to do today here on the Blitz. Maddy Skye will join us coming up at 4:30 as she always does. Jane Slater from the NFL Network, she'll join us at 5 o'clock. We'll get a little bit more in-depth on Mike McCarthy's class today on balance when it comes to your offense. And we're going to talk some football, some college football. Up in San Marcos, Jake Spavital is going to join us at 6 o'clock. And I'll tell you what, Spav has Eric Morrison, the UIW Cardinals, coming up Saturday night in San Marcos. And there's 2 great local college football games this weekend within easy driving distance. UTSA in the Alamo Dome against Middle Tennessee, and certainly you want to pack the dome. But Texas State and UIW, 2 programs, UIW is a damn good football team. Texas State might be turning it around. It certainly seems like Jake Spavital has got that ship pointed in the right direction now in San Marcos. They damn near beat Baylor in the opener. They won last week down in Miami against FIU in overtime in a great game. And they've got UIW this week. Jake Spavital is going to join us at 6 o'clock. We'll talk some college football. But this Saturday, go to a game. Go to the Dome. Go up to Bobcat Stadium in San Marcos. You're going to see a lot of local players playing really good football. And I tell you what, that UIW Texas State game, and I know Jake's coming up at 6. UIW is good. Cardinals going to go in there and beat those guys. They are. But you got 2 coaches that are from the same tree. You know, but I think Eric Morris has by far the better quarterback and maybe the better running back. Are they going to be big enough? It's going to be a fun game coming up Saturday night at Bobcat Stadium between a couple of really good friends. Chris Hernandez, what kind of dog are we talking about? A Chihuahua Pit Bull? No. That was a Basset Hound. That did this. My other dog is so old she can't jump on the bed anymore. The Basset Hound is getting to the point where she struggles jumping on the bed. So if she makes it up there, she really needs something. And she whines a lot. Tim Morrow, who runs the San Antonio Zoo, wants to hear more about UTSA. Did I not just say go pack the dome? And if you're not going to that one, go up the road? I'm with you. I mean, Jeff Traylor was on with us Monday, as he is every Monday. But there's more than one program around here that we can talk about. There's a lot of good football being played in our neck of the woods.
And like you said,
I haven't decided where I'm going yet.
Like you said, the Incarnate Word Cardinals, very, very good football team. But they do give up points.
Yeah, their defense sucks. I mean, their defense, although they did play better defense last week, but their defense was bad. All right, since Tim Morrow is obviously watching on Facebook Live, our friend from the San Antonio Zoo and president of I was going to do this a little bit later, but I'm going to change things up just because I know Tim Morrow is watching right now. And Tim Morrow is the president of the Jason Garrett fan club. Now, he's in New York right now, and all you got to do is look at New York's offense, and, it's like a flashback, right? Yeah. Cowboys offensive coordinator Kellen Moore was asked about the red zone offense, because that's one of the issues with the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, they left a lot of points on the board against Tampa Bay, and you can blame the kicker all you want. And, yeah, that doesn't help. But their red zone offense has to get better. And that's not a new problem for the Dallas Cowboys. That wasn't a one-game issue for the Dallas Cowboys. The red zone issues go back a couple of years. Kellen Moore was asked about the red zone offense. And, Tim Morrow, this is just for you because – boy, Kellen Moore couldn't sound any more like Jason Garrett.
Obviously, from my perspective, I'm looking at it from a scheme perspective. Players probably looking at it from an execution perspective. We'll find that happy medium combination to find a way that works for us. But obviously, we're really, really close. I felt like a couple of those drives were really close, scoring touchdowns right there, and we just weren't able to get it done.
Really close. Boys, man, we were really close, man. We handed out snacks after the game in the meeting room and talked about how close we were, and then we're going to watch the film, and we're going to get better. It's a process. I mean, we're getting – have you ever heard anybody sound more like Jason Garrett than that answer from Kellen Moore? I mean, honestly. I heard that, and my head almost exploded. I mean, Pledge, when you pulled that audio and sent it to me, I don't know what you were thinking when you sent it to me. My first thought is, why did Pledge send me this piece of audio? Hey, we were close. Boy, we were really, really close. If Blake Jarwin could block, Zeke would have scored there. If Zeke would have made a man miss, and I'm not on Zeke. I'm really not on Zeke. I credit that safety for coming in and making a hell of a play. I mean, yeah, do I want Zeke to make a move and make a miss? Sure. But sometimes you got to credit the defensive player for just making a great open field tackle. And that is what he did. And quite honestly, as perfectly executed as that play was by 10 guys, Zeke might have been surprised he was there. One guy on that play down by the goal line cost the Cowboys a touchdown. That was a 4-point missed block by Blake Jarwin. But they were close.
Close.
They were getting close. Yes, Jason Garrett does have a fan club. The president is Tim Morrow from the San Antonio Zoo. If you follow his Twitter at Manazoo, you see all kinds of Jason Garrett love from Tim Morrow. Yes, it's exactly what it is. 58 passes by Dak Prescott the other day. 58. Now, Mike McCarthy, in his press conference earlier today, was asked about that. The balance. I mean, because, you hear Kellen Moore often talk about they want to be balanced. And it's not 50-50. Jason Garrett wanted it 50-50. If we were at 31 passes and 29 runs, the next two plays were going to be runs. I mean, that was Jason Garrett's goal, was to be balanced. And so for 10 years, we were taught by the Cowboys head coach that balance is close to 50-50. Whether it's 55-45 or 60-40, but you certainly don't want 58 passes and 12 runs or whatever the Cowboys ended up with. But Mike McCarthy taught us something today during his morning press conference up there at the Star in Dallas. See, offensive balance isn't necessarily about the number of passes thrown. It's all about the blocking schemes for the offensive line. Huh? Actually, it does actually make sense.
I mean, really, I think it comes down, what's the definition of balance? And I think sometimes when the word balance is thrown out there, it gets, put in the view of it needs to be in a run or pass category.
Anybody having a Bill Clinton flashback on defining what sex is?
I mean, really, I think it comes down, what's the definition of balance? And I think sometimes when the word balance is thrown out there, it gets, put in the view of it needs to be in a run or pass category, and that's not really true from our perspective. I mean, I think when you're looking at balance, particularly in normal down and distance, you want to make sure your run blocking unit and the pass protection unit have some balance. So my point I'm making is the RPOs, the run blocking unit is still coming off the ball. They're still, and I know they get categorized as throws because the ball is thrown to the perimeter. So that's really, I think the part that we pay attention to, because we don't want to, when you see, the first thing you see is when you see a team that's thrown the ball 50 plus times, you go, I know I do, from an offensive perspective, oh my God, the tackles are on their heels the whole game, or, the line is on their heels the whole game. But if, 15 of those are RPOs, that's not necessarily true. So I think that's, when we talk about balance, that's what we're talking to. We're not just talking about this many runs or this many passes.
See, everything that we know about football, you just got to throw it out the window now. And what he says does make a lot of sense, because McCarthy's an analytics guy. When you look at this, and he's right. I mean, we talked about it on Friday after the loss on Thursday night. We talked about it some yesterday. The Cowboys could not run the ball against that front from Tampa Bay, and they knew they couldn't run the ball against Tampa Bay. We thought they didn't even try. But we also know that Kellen Moore did call 28 run plays, and Dak Prescott checked out at 12 of those. So when you look at that, you go, okay, Dak has all the trust in his coaches to make the changes at the line of scrimmage based on what he's seeing. And a lot of those short passes are an extension of the run game. And I think all of us understand that. Those are long handoffs. That's getting guys in space. We all know that. But still, when we look at balance, and you want to tell me you're a balanced team, it's number of rushes versus number of pass attempts, right? Were you balanced in your run game? Now, I've never, ever in my life thought about, nor have I heard a coach tell me, and maybe all coaches know this, and if you're a coach and this is true, feel free to tell me what he's talking about there, about what the offensive linemen are doing. Are they run blocking, or are they on the heels and pass blocking? Because I've never thought about a balanced offense based on the blocking of the offensive line. I've never heard that before. It does make a lot of sense. And that's not going to show up anywhere in the stat sheet. I see 58 throws from my quarterback who had a sore arm coming in, who's apparently going to get an MRI every week or every other week to make sure that it's healing it the right way. If you throw 58 passes, don't get an MRI this week. Don't do it. I mean, you got to be like La'el Collins and skip the test. I mean, you don't want to know the results of that thing. So when you look at it, but it is interesting, and I'm not making fun of it to a degree, because I think he's right. I think in a lot of ways, those coaches get into rooms and they get into the weeds and they know what they're trying to do. And as fans, we see 58 pass and go, well, what's wrong with Zeke? Zeke played a hell of a football game. And if you don't see that, then I put your level on a very casual level, unless you have him in a fantasy league, because you don't get any fantasy points for picking up a blitz and creating a block. But Zeke did have one hell of a football game on Thursday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He didn't run the ball a lot. He didn't run the ball particularly well because he didn't get enough carries. But his impact on that game was significant in the passing game for Dak Prescott. I mean, there was that one touchdown down near the goal line that Amari Cooper got. Zeke doesn't make that block. Dak Prescott gets sacked. And there was another third down play I remember going, man, what a block by Zeke. And that gave Dak Prescott enough time to complete the pass and move the sticks. I mean, offensively, you look at their time of possession, you look at their total yards, you look at everything they did but score. And that was a hell of an offensive performance by the Dallas Cowboys offense. Pledge tells me we've got some breaking news.
This is breaking news from San Antonio Sports Talk.
Yeah, according to Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network, Cowboys pass rusher Demarcus Lawrence has suffered a foot injury and is uncertain for Week 2, being evaluated to determine the severity of the injury.
Yeah, that sucks. No Randy Gregory likely against the Chargers. So you're going to have Armstrong on one side. And now if D-Law is out with an injury, that's going to put even more pressure on this offense. We'll get more on that coming up in about 45 minutes when Jane Slater from the NFL Network joins us. And we'll try to gather some more info as Ian Rappaport is breaking that news. But he's not out officially yet. So you got to see what the severity of this injury is. So it's something to continue to look at. But as you get ready for the Chargers this week, and the last thing you want to do is start 0-2. Now, a 17-game schedule, it's there. I look at, most of us had the Cowboys losing to Tampa Bay. If you pick the Cowboys to beat the Buccaneers, you're either blind loyalty to the Cowboys and always pick the Cowboys and you're used to going 8-8 in your season predictions, or you put a lot of money on it hoping to cash in. Now, if you put money on the Cowboys to cover, sure, but win outright, most of us had them losing that game. Most of us had the Cowboys starting 0-1 with a tough test against the Chargers. I know a lot of people thought the Cowboys might start this season 0-2. But when you look at the game coming up against the Chargers, and you look at the Chargers opener against Washington football team, you look at Washington football team ran for 126 yards against that Chargers defense. Now, they didn't throw for a whole lot, but you had Fitzpatrick and Heineke, throwing the football. And, Washington is going to run the ball. Gibson had 90 yards on 20 carries. Overall, Washington ran for 126 yards. What is Zeke going to do? Yeah, and Zeke, to his credit, talking to the media today, not frustrated. Mike McCarthy said that Zeke is not frustrated with the amount of touches that he got against Tampa Bay.
No, he hasn't. Really hasn't. I know I say this all the time, but he's the same guy every day. I mean, he's in the quarterback meetings earlier, so he's all football. He understands exactly the why of what we're doing, so he's definitely on board.
And he is. You could see that with the blocking that he had the other day. But when you go get ready to play the Chargers, and I really do think this is going to be like a home game for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, the Chargers don't have a massive fan base in Los Angeles anyway. And we know that Cowboys have a massive, massive amount of fans in Southern California. Hell, that's why they have training camp in Oxnard. I mean, I think they had more fans show up at their training camp practices than the Chargers had in some of their home games when they were playing at that soccer stadium before SoFi was built. It was funny today hearing Mike McCarthy talk about, we're practicing with crowd noise. I was thinking for the defense, because they'll get loud when that goes in there. But offensively, the Cowboys are going to have to carry this group, especially if Demarcus Lawrence isn't going to go. We don't know the extent of that injury. We'll find out what we can when we do, but they're going to have to control the time of possession. They're going to have to get a lot of points. And that was an offense last week. Couple plays here, couple plays there. They score 40 points. You score 40, you're probably going to win. But they're going to have to figure out a way offensively to protect Dak Prescott. We know Zach Martin is back. They're easing him in back at right guard after he dealt with COVID. And he did. He had symptoms. He talked about losing taste and smell. He talked about, some upper chest issues, but he's fine. But they're going to ease him back in. Zach Martin's going to be good to go on Sunday. What they're doing at tackle, I guess, is still a question mark. Jerry Jones is not on the same page with his head coach. So yesterday on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, Jerry Jones declared that Terrence Steele out of Steele High School was going to start. Mike McCarthy today, non-committal on that.
I'll just say this about the right tackle. We'll work all the combinations that we've been working to this point. I mean, the obvious is LC will not be there, but so we'll sort it out at the end of the week.
And Zach is not one of the combinations you're looking at there.
We'll just sort it out at the end of the week. Yeah.
So you're working through combination. It's not Terrence Steele if it's a full go at right tackle.
He's part of one of the options, definitely.
But you're not doing snaps exclusively with one guy. You're still spreading the first team snaps around.
I always thought you only had to avoid the question two or three times. I didn't think it went to four. This is a new record. Hey, I appreciate it. I'm all about setting records.
You know, and I appreciate what Mike McCarthy is doing there. His owner declared a starter before he wants him to. My guess is Jerry Jones was honest on the radio yesterday, and Mike McCarthy does not want to allow the Chargers to work on tape with Terrence Steele. They want them working on tape with Martin maybe, or with Terrence Steele or Ty Nsekhe. But it does seem like it's going to be Terrence Steele that's going to get the start. He's at least what I take from that and from what Jerry said yesterday. He's getting all the reps with the ones, and if it doesn't work, then they'll work on Ty Nsekhe. But I think that's just, that competitive, secretive thing that, well, the Chargers need to work on two different right tackles. What they don't need to do is work on Zach Martin at right tackle. Now, I had a theory yesterday that, kind of gained some traction up in Dallas, and there might be a little bit of truth here. Not that I'm going to pat myself on the back, but Zach Martin is a total team player. Zach Martin has played right tackle before at the NFL, and he did in college. Zach Martin is the kind of guy that will do whatever it takes to help the team win. So the fact that the Cowboys are so steadfast on making sure he stays at guard, there's got to be something more to it than he doesn't want to move the tackle, which has kind of been the storyline. And then you had Jerry say, well, he wants to play guard, and he doesn't want to move the tackle. And if you move him the tackle, then you got two different guys moving. Well, I went and looked at the grades yesterday of what the offensive linemen did, and rookie center Tyler Biadasz, badass, was the worst of the five offensive linemen, and the difference between 4 and 5 in their grades, man, it wasn't even close. My theory yesterday was that the reason Zach Martin can't move the tackle is because they need Zach Martin to protect their second-year center. And if he's also at right guard, not only is he helping out the center, he's also going to be able to help out Terrence Steele or maybe Ty Nsekhe, until they figure it out, whoever's going to be kind of fresh at that right tackle spot. And Mike McCarthy admitted as much today when asked by the NFL Network's Jane Slater.
I mean, definitely. And also, the right guard definitely helps who's playing right tackle too. So I think at the end of the day, Zach playing right guard is a huge benefit to us because, just the caliber player that he is, as far as his ability to win a matchup, but also what he brings inside, with the recognition and so forth. The guards and centers are definitely trained the same. So there's calls. Crowd noise, we're going to work it this week. I don't know how big of a factor it's going to be.
None.
Those things are something you really focus on when you have a young center that, the guards can help.
And again, Tyler had a rough game against the Tampa Bay front. There were a couple of times he got bull rushed. And the number of games that he got to start last year, and it was a small sample size, while he's got a great football IQ, he lacks strength and he lacks leverage. He needs the help. The best place for Zach Martin isn't at right tackle. It's to protect the center. It's to protect the middle. It's to help the run game through the middle. So while a lot of us think, well, you put your next best player out there at tackle, well, that makes sense, and I agree with that. Until I kind of started digging in, going, well, he doesn't want to do it. That's BS. The Cowboys don't want him to do it because then that exposes Tyler even more. It exposes the middle even more. It is the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM. We'll get the latest on the D-Law injury and more from Jane Slater of the NFL Network. She'll join us coming up at 5 o'clock. If you're having issues at the house with your plumbing, your AC, you know there's one company to call, and that is Quarter-Moon Plumbing, Heating, and AC. Their phone number is 210-651-5899. 651-5899. And at Quarter-Moon, they are experts at worst-case scenarios. Big job, small job, residential or commercial. Their service trucks are fully stocked, and they have all the equipment needed for any job. At Quarter-Moon, they do not have commission sales reps. They'll provide estimates and second opinions. They have a great experienced staff that has earned an A-plus ranking with the Better Business Bureau. And at Quarter-Moon, they are green certified. It is the middle of September. While you're not thinking about your heater right now, you should. You want to make sure you get it tuned up and ready for the winter. Great maintenance programs, and Quarter-Moon has them. Make sure your unit is ready for every season. Whether it's an emergency or maintenance, plumbing, heating, AC, it's Quarter-Moon. 210-651-5899, 651-5899, or online, quartermoonplumbing.com. Maddy Skye, she will join us coming up next, as she does every Wednesday, right after we get the update. The Sports Center update from James Pledger. Pledge.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Well, we said it a few minutes ago, the breaking news. Cowboys defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence has suffered a foot injury in practice today and is being evaluated to determine the severity of the injury. This, according to the NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, his status for Sunday's game against the Chargers is now uncertain as the Cowboys' other starting defensive end, Randy Gregory, who also might miss this weekend's game, is currently in COVID protocols. Cowboys signed kicker Liram Hajrualu and wide receiver Robert Foster to the practice squad, filling two spots opened up by the team after they placed safety Darian Thompson and cornerback Deontay Burton on the practice squad injured list. The Houston Texans placed defensive tackle Vincent Taylor on the injured reserve with an ankle injury that requires surgery. Taking his place on the roster, they signed defensive tackle Jaleel Johnson off the New Orleans Saints practice squad, who was with the Texans in training camp up until final cuts. Speaking of the Texans, as they head to Cleveland this weekend to take on the Browns, Cleveland will be without wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. for the second straight game as he continues to recover from a knee injury suffered against the Cowboys last year. I'm James Pledger.
ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
If you've been hurt in a crash, do your research. You'll find plenty of lawyers out there. They'll probably do a fine job, but ask yourself, is fine really good enough for you and your family? Don't leave your case to chance. Contact Thomas J. Henry today. San Antonio, Texas.
I'm Dr. Mark Habercorn. When I needed office space for my oral surgery practice, the best decision I made was to call Scott McMurrian at Bottom Line Realty Advisors. He helped me find the ideal space and negotiate the best possible terms.
If you need 2,000 or tens of thousands of square feet for your office, warehouse, or retail space, we can help. The last thing you want to do is overpay the landlord.
I was impressed that Bottom Line Realty Advisors only represents tenants. I could tell that what I needed was their highest priority.
We never represent landlords. We only represent you. We help you get the best possible price and terms on your commercial lease.
Thanks to Scott and Bottom Line Realty Advisors, we have a great space in an ideal location. I know I got the best possible deal. I'm Dr. Mark Habercorn, and I highly recommend Bottom Line Realty Advisors.
Call Bottom Line Realty Advisors, 210-535-7800, 210-535-7800.
Bottom Line Realty Advisors. We get the landlord off your bottom line.
Great news, Slackers! Slackers Sports and Arcade Bar is now opening at noon 7 days a week at all 4 area locations. North Star, St. Mary's, Slackadochis, and the Medical Center. Slackers is the home for 7-day-a-week happy hour, now starting at noon every day. And by popular demand, Slackers brings back the signature frozen drinks. Bring a date, bring a crew, or come on down solo. Slackers Sports and Arcade Bar serves you up all your favorites and quenches your thirst 7 days a week, starting every day at noon. Visit slackersbarssa.com for more info.
Rudy J here, and I want to tell you about Enrique Custom Vision. Dr. Enrique has performed over 58,000 laser vision corrections, and he's the only Z-LASIK trainer in the area. He treats nearsightedness, farsightedness, and even astigmatism. And all procedures are blade-free and pain-free, and they just take seconds per eye. Get the vision you deserve without glasses and contacts. Call 354-2020 today to get the Enrique difference. Don't compromise your only set of eyes. Call 354-2020 today.
You can talk keto all you want, but if you don't have a team of great tasting snacks behind you, you're not going to win the diet marathon. Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds have these big, bold flavors that kick your taste buds into high gear. Korean kimchi barbecue, pasilla chili cheese, spicy dill and more. Eat them right out of the bag or try them in your favorite recipes. You'll love this snack. Visit your local H-E-B and southernrecipesmallbatch.com to see the power of the rinds.
Southern Recipe pork rinds.
Howdy, San Antonio. Chip Ingram from the Roo Pub and the Angry Elephant, inviting you to come out and enjoy patio season. We have newly remodeled patios, garage doors, and everything else you need to enjoy this great South Texas weather. As always, ice cold beer and specialty drinks. Happy hours daily from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And our kitchen is open from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. See you soon at the Roo Pub and the Angry Elephant at 281 and Redland Road.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Right now at Diamonds Direct, whether you buy a $3,000 diamond pendant or a $30,000 designer ring, you can spread your payments over 5 years without paying a dime in interest. It's Diamonds Direct's most aggressive offer ever. Pick any item, get the super low price Diamonds Direct is known for, and spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest and 0 down. No exceptions. Don't miss this incredible limited time offer. 5 years, 0 interest on approved credit only at Diamonds Direct at the shops at Lock on Terra.
Second to Takes, The Blitz with Jason Minix and Sports Insiders. San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
You know it's hard to see all of what goes on in the city. That's why we got Maddy Skyeline. It's time for Maddy Skyeline.
It certainly is time for Maddy Skyeline. Maddy Skye of the San Antonio Express News joining us now here on the Blitz. Here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM. I'm Jason Minix. Is Maddy there? Is she on the phone or is she going to join us on video?
I'm getting all loaded up over here, guys.
You're getting all what? You didn't do your hair and makeup today, did you?
No, I did. I'm here.
Oh, there you are. All right. I was like, wait a minute, because there are some days where you do your hair and your makeup and you're like, yeah, we're on camera, right? And then other days, well, let's just do it over the phone.
I did my makeup today.
You did. I could see that now. But when you weren't on the screen, when, Pledge took the top slide off, I thought maybe it was just one of those days.
It almost was one of those days. I was rushing, as usual.
As usual, the food and culture editor of the San Antonio Express News joining us now. A couple weeks into management, you're realizing that management sucks?
No. My team is great. So I have a lot of help getting into the swing of things. And it's a pretty smooth transition, I have to say.
Awesome. Maddy, when you look around the city, my social media pages were flooding with questions about fireworks on Sunday. I thought it was a pretty easy answer. San Antonio fans drinking all day, watching NFL celebrating the return of the NFL season. But you're going to tell me that that's not why we had fireworks downtown on Sunday?
No, and I actually have a case of FOMO because usually I would have seen that, but I wasn't. I was hanging out with one of my friends on the southeast side, so I missed the whole thing. But from what I could hear is that it was this type of production that nobody, not just some random resident could have pulled off. It was this grand production that lasted, I think it was 20 minutes long, and everybody heard it downtown. So I reached out to the Top of Americas, and they told me that it was a private party that was hosted at Landry. So Landry runs the show at the Tower, Hemisphere and Tower, different things, and Landry's runs the show there. And so this company called ABB, I think, it's like this global tech brand or tech company. They have like all these portfolios and robotics, automation, things that I don't understand what's going on, but they are the authority on those things. And they had this big old party there. Well, not big, it was 150 people, but the finale was this huge fireworks show that nobody really anticipated happening. So it caught a lot of people off guard and was the buzz around town Sunday to Monday morning. So we got those answers. It's a big part.
Certainly was. So we had that big oil and gas convention going on in town. So it's probably an offshoot of all those rich dudes that have a party to end the convention type thing.
Probably. That's what I was thinking. And I looked on the company's website and they did have a date set for that. So yeah, probably one of those things that I have no idea about. But
well, I mean, it's interesting because when you think about a fireworks display like that, because I mean, seeing some of the photos and the videos in a 20 minute, that's not cheap. And, you know, for a private party, you know, there's only a handful in San Antonio that would spend that kind of money on a party. So if it was a part of that convention and a big finale, I could almost see it. But, you know, when people were saying it was a private party, there was three people that I was thinking. And then I started wondering, well, but nobody got invited to it. So it's not that guy, because we know how he throws parties. Who else could it be? So it's got to be, I'm glad to hear it was, you know, oil and gas money, apparently, and, you know, tech, them high tech types.
Yeah, it makes sense that, we weren't on that guest list for sure.
All right. So Chris Perez and the Quintanilla family, they've been at odds, but now they're not. Everything good?
Yeah, so they've been at odds for some time. I know things have been pretty tense and complex. Like there's different issues going on, or that were going on with Selena's estate, because by default, I think Chris Pettis should have been inherited all of, you know, she didn't have a loan when she died. She was only 23. But there were a lot of legal battles going on in the early days right after she passed, you know, when emotions were running all over the place, and one party thought to get a lawyer, one party didn't. So now all these years down the line, when books are coming out and proposals for TV series, these two parties got embroiled in this legal dispute that I think there might have been like one big dispute and then smaller ones within it. But I don't know if it happened in or at court, but both Abraham Quintanilla, her father, and Chris Pettis both posted the same message, just in verse. You know, we no longer have issues with the other party, and we hope to move forward with honoring Selena's legacy. So that was yesterday around this time, or a little bit earlier, a little over 24 hours ago. So they say that their issues are behind them. Hopefully, maybe we'll get some more well-rounded Selena content. I don't know, but they say all their troubles are behind them. And they're going to come together.
And that was when I saw the story and you texted me about it. I thought, all right, are we going to get anything new? Like you just said, you know, what kind of Selena content are we going to get? Because there's been a lot of Selena content throughout the years. And, you know, I guess whoever is benefiting financially from it was kind of the dispute behind the scenes. If they're now happy with each other, working together, are we going to get anything new? Or is it going to be kind of what we've been getting at the pace we've been getting, just behind the scenes? It's not ugly.
I'm thinking probably the latter, because other than that huge blowout concert that was supposed to happen here in San Antonio that was later canceled because of the pandemic, I don't know what else you can do. There's already a Netflix series. There's tons of merch. You can't, you know, rework any of her old audio. I think that's already been done too. So other than that concert that was supposed to happen, I read that she's already a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She has a wax figure. I don't know, but I'm sure, I mean, I'm not a marketing person, but I'm sure there probably is a million different avenues you could take to honor her legacy.
Exactly. Maddy Skye from the San Antonio Express News joining us here. She is the food and culture editor. Now, you've got a new bougie restaurant that you want to talk about. Then I got to ask a question about restaurants in general, because I went to one last night that I thought was local, and I found out it was a chain. But tell me about the new place downtown that that you had mentioned?
Oh, so I don't know if anybody is familiar with Little M. It popped up on the scene less than a year ago in December. It is a primarily oyster restaurant bar, and there's also seafood. But the owners, Houston and Emily Carpenter, they are Southtown residents. They're very embedded in that neighborhood. And they're about to open what they call a vintage glam steakhouse and sushi restaurant. So it's going to be called Upscale, but it's upspace scale, so it's more of a stay on like the fish scale. And it's also pretty upscale. They shared some first look photos with us, and it looks like how I would design a restaurant if I had the money to do that. Very nice pink velvet-ish seating with these glassy pendant lighting. It's beautiful. So that's supposed to be opening this fall. I think it's probably just a few weeks away. And that'll be in Southtown. It's actually right across from its sister restaurant. So they've opened 2 restaurants in less than a year, which is pretty impressive. And they'll have, all types of sushi, a full bar, whereas Little M's was wine and beer. This will have a full bar with a specialty cocktail menu. So look out for that. And it's pretty cool because if you pass by it, they already have the lights on. They have these like floor to ceiling windows so you can look in and get a look around from the street. So that's going to be the next hot spot on Instagram that everybody's posting at and getting all dressed up for. So if you see that pop up, you know what that's at.
Certainly sounds like it. Now, how do you know? And I guess this is a lame question, but between a local restaurant, like locally owned, or a franchise. So a couple weeks ago, we went to this restaurant over at the Rim, and it was really good. Last night, my wife's out of town. My niece and I was like, man, it's a really good restaurant. I want to go back because there was this one dish that was incredible. I got it again last night. It's an Italian restaurant at the Rim called North Italia. I thought it was a local spot. I'd never heard of it before. Then I realized when you're in there and it's a chain.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a chain. It goes, well, I go to plenty of chains, trust me, but I like to support local. I thought it was local. I thought it was a locally owned place, and they might have a local franchise owner. I don't know, but that's different. I just thought, man, this is a cool new spot in San Antonio, and then you realize they're apparently all over the place. I've just never heard of it or been to it, although it was fantastic.
There are tons of them. I realized that myself. They had a media preview, and I realized that I asked if it was a chain, and I was corrected, but there's, like, I don't know if you want to call it a network or a community, but there are other North Italias. I forgot how many. Either it's 22 locations or in 22 states. I forgot what the wording was on that, but there are a lot of them. But I think what makes it feel so different is because it doesn't feel like a chain, and
no.
Maybe because it's the first one in San Antonio, so we're not familiar with what the other ones look like. But I remember the interior being really nice. And there was something said about how everything's made fresh. So you don't have any like frozen out of the freezer products. Everything's made fresh. I want to say they try to use like locally sourced products. I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me on that. But I had the same question. I thought it was a smaller, or even just like a small batch type restaurant where there would maybe like.
I thought it was, and again, there's a dish. I don't even know what kind of noodles it is, what the sauce is, but it's got some short rib in it, and that rib is so tender. It was so good, and the noodles and the all of it, and it's got one of those names I can't pronounce, which is even better. In fact, I the first time I went and got it, I was going to order something, and the lady looked at me and said, you can get that anywhere. Get this. And I was like, well, what is that? I can't say that. And she's like, trust me. And it was so good. And, and I'm the kind of guy, I don't necessarily always try new restaurants. You only get so many meals in a day. So if one's bad, it's bad. So I tend to go to the same places and get the same thing. And I thought, well, this is a great local spot. I'm going to go back. And it's a chain. I'll still go back because it was good, but I wish there would be some way to locally owned, or this is a franchise. Go visit our one in Scottsdale.
You can always look at my essay because I definitely answered that question in my article when I wrote about it.
I don't remember that article. I'm sorry. I got to be honest with you. You know that. I totally missed it. Every time I go over to the rim, it feels like 40 new things have popped up, and they got half the roads closed. And I'm looking at those apartments going, why would anybody want to live here? Traffic sucks worse here than in Stone Oak. And that's just getting through a mall parking lot.
Yes, I agree. I thought the same thing. But yeah, check out Marion State. That will be your biggest answer to those questions.
All right, fair enough. Maddie, before I let you go, you tweeted the other day about the Met Gala, whatever it is. What is it?
It is I think, in short, I think it's a fundraiser to raise money for the Met. But as most galas do, I'll have to ask that question after this. As most galas, hold on, I'm trying to keep up with the bottom end of your question. And so all the celebrities will buy tables, or designers will buy tables and invite celebrities in to wear their fancy outfits and take pictures and be bougie.
So you tweeted about if somebody called you last minute and said, what would you wear? For me, it'd be jeans, a golf shirt, and add a sport coat, because that's the only way I know how to dress up.
You might be underdressed.
Although I saw some people that I wasn't sure if they were wearing anything.
I mean, it's fashion. If it's on the red carpet and it's probably with a name like Versace or Gucci or one of those, it's fashion. If you wear that in San Antonio, anywhere here, you might get some side eye. But if you're on the red carpet at the Met, you are celebrated.
I've been told I'm a man of style. So you're telling me that jeans, a golf shirt, and a sport coat is not fashion?
Not for them, no.
You can make fun of me all you want. I'm cool with who I am. That's the only way I know how to dress up. What I normally wear at a sport coat, and to me that is dressed up, and I'm uncomfortable the entire night.
It's called a capsule wardrobe. Just you have a few things and you simplicity. That's how you operate off of. It's okay.
What would you have worn?
So I was actually asked, when I asked that question, I thought people were going to come out with like their favorite fit. And I thought it was an opportunity for them to like show off, but they were just being funny. But I actually had an outfit that I actually wore to one of the Thomas J. Henry parties. As you mentioned earlier, the guys throw the big parties here, and I think it's Time in the Shine, Time in the Shine or Time to Shine, and I would wear that. It was like a black lacy outfit, had like a sheer underlay. I think it would have been okay as a last minute outfit.
I think it would have been okay, but where I think you're lying is you go to something like that, you can't wear something that's been on Instagram before. If you've already had your photo taken in that and it's made the gram, you can't wear that again.
All I would do is delete those old ones. It was years ago, so nobody would remember.
Somebody would. You would be like, I'd love to wear this. I can't though. I've worn that one before.
In a last minute, if somebody tells me, hey, we're going tonight, I would have no other choice. That's that last minute outfit. You have no other choice. What do you even do?
Okay, so I'm with. So if I was planning for it, I'd get a new pair of nice jeans, maybe even get them ironed and then add the sport coat, not just pull it out of the closet. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that works.
Maybe.
I know, your colleague David Hinojosa would go jorts and the sport coat, and he would be perfect.
It probably would start a fashion trend, honestly. I feel like that was a trend not so long ago, the shorts and the sports coat thing.
So you think jorts is more of a fashion trend than a blue polo or a black polo or a concert tee? Because that's all I have.
It's more of a statement.
Not a good one, in my opinion, and I got no fashion sense.
You can take that as a David, not me.
I will. I'm sure I'll see him in a Friday night high school football stadium pretty soon. Maddy Skye from the Express News. Always appreciate the time. We'll talk to you next week. Read her stuff at mysa.com. Follow her for fashion and food tips and the culture part of being the food and culture editor at the San Antonio Express News. Maddy, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Maddy Skye joining us here on the Blitz. Now, talking about the Met Gala thing, Nicki Minaj wasn't there. I know we're all hurt by that. We were all surprised that Nicki Minaj didn't show up. But why? You got to stick around to hear this. Jane Slater will join us coming up at 5 o'clock. You're going to fire up the grill this week. It's middle of the week. You start thinking about what's going on your grill this weekend. Before you do, you got to think about it and then get into Tri-County Meat Market. They've got 2 great locations, locally owned and full service, because they've got what you need to take your grilling game to the next level. And you know that great meal starts with great meat, and there's no better place to get your meat than at Tri-County Meat Market. They've got your certified prime Angus beef cuts, Wagyu, upper choice. They even have their own Tri-County homegrown Wagyu. You talk about farm to fork Wagyu, it doesn't get better than that from Tri-County Meat Market. They've got the beef, they've got your chicken, their pork, their fajitas, their poppers. They've got prepared foods already seasoned, just ready for you to fire up the grill and go, or you can buy them, season them yourself. Although I can tell you on the fajitas, you can't do them better than what you're going to get. Those seasoned fajitas from Tri-County are incredible. Make sure and stock up on their Pick 5 for $25 when you walk into that Huebner location. It's over there to the right. They've got some seafood over to your left. And when you walk into Tri-County Meat Market, they always offer a 10% discount for military and first responders. 2 great locations for Tri-County Meat Market on Ralph Air Road and then one on Huebner. Go to their website, tricountymeat.com.
Who's ready to play some ball? Friday nights under the lights. Don't miss the high school football game of the week. Powered by Hill Electric. This Friday on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Jason Minix here for Ancira Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram Truck, part of the Ancira I-10 Auto Complex. Very easy for me to tell you about and recommend Ancira because I am a long-time Ancira customer. Through the years, I have bought many vehicles from Ancira, and it's because of their great customer service before, during, and most importantly, after the sale. That great customer service is why Ancira has been a top family-run dealership in San Antonio for decades. They're going to make sure you're getting the vehicle you want with the options and features you're looking for. They'll give you great value on your trade-in, the best rebates and financing options that are available. And you know price made Ancira number one. Price keeps Ancira number one. And if you buy a car in September, you're going to get 2 tickets to a UTSA football game. So think Ancira. Ancira Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram Truck, part of the Ancira I-10 Auto Complex on I-10 West between Wurzbach and Huebner.
If your spouse's search history includes single and ready to mingle, you may want to reboot your situation. Call DivorceDude.com at 210-201-0303 and ask for Mark, the Divorce Dude, with Polling Law PLLC. DivorceDude.com can help you get a fast, affordable, agreed divorce. But if you want to fight, the Divorce Dude can fight for you. DivorceDude.com gives you easy legal options and sticks with you every step of the way. If the marriage is over, why fight? DivorceDude.com.
Not all pizza places are the same. Mellow Mushroom originated hand-tossed, stone-baked classic Southern pizza. Not in the mood for pizza? Order a calzone, hoagie, sandwich, burger, or a mellow salad and see how care goes into every item on the menu. Take your pick from 24 draft beers and or handcrafted cocktails. And many of the pizzas can be made gluten-free or vegan. Mellow Mushroom is at 1604 in Stone Oak Parkway. Hang with friends, watch the game, and mellow out at Mellow Mushroom.
Jason Minix here for Alamo Water Softeners to tell you they have the perfect solution for your family's complete water treatment. The top-of-the-line CareSoft Elite Plus 1 filter is an advanced 2-stage system built to protect your family from harmful contaminants that may be in your water. Right now, save $1,000 on the CareSoft Elite Plus 1 system while supplies last. Discover the Alamo Water Softeners difference. Learn more at alamowatersofteners.com. Again, the website, alamowatersofteners.com.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity, and you need to know when you win, you're going to get paid. You need a sports book that offers all the action to make every game feel like the playoffs. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. Nobody in the industry gives bigger bonuses than BetUS. I play at BetUS, and so should you. Now is your turn. Join now. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. My favorite sports book, BetUS.com.
Join now and get up to 200% in bonuses on your first deposit. Call 1-800-MY-BET-US.
Tell them SAP sent you.
If you think the COVID vaccine alone will protect you from the coronavirus, think again. As the deadly disease breaks through to people who are vaccinated, it's critical to take a reliable temperature reading with the Exergen Temporal Scanner. It's the only thermometer whose accuracy has been proven in more than 100 clinical studies versus the non-contact devices that have no supporting studies and produce a false sense of security. Vaccines are not enough, and thermometer accuracy matters. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Here's pitch. Double your power. Double your fun. Double your Rangers pleasure. The explosive action happens here on the official home plate of the Texas Rangers. ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
San Antonio's home for sports talk is right here. San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
You know, we don't talk a lot of Nicki Minaj on this show, and that's entirely my fault.
How dare you?
I tell you. But when Nicki Minaj is tweeting about swollen testicles, we gotta talk about it. So apparently Nicki Minaj is unvaccinated. They didn't want to go to the Met Gala because, you know, she's unvaccinated. She tweeted out, "My cousin in Trinidad won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and became impotent. His testicles were swollen. His friend was weeks away from getting married, and she called off the wedding." I don't even know where to go with that. The health minister of Trinidad and Tobago has responded to the swollen testicle claim made by Nicki Minaj and says there's no such reported case of swollen testicles in Trinidad and Tobago. And it is and, not or. I don't even know what to make of that. So obviously her tweet goes viral, right? As one would imagine. Jimmy Kimmel was talking about it. She tweeted to Jimmy, "Yeah, call me. I'm his manager. For the right price, he'll come on and talk about it."
He's Fred's cousin. Poor guy's sitting at home on his couch, TV dinner, resting on his nuts, and now he's famous. Who knew testicle inflation was a side effect of COVID? Nicki, meanwhile, lashed out at the coverage of her tweet. She was mad. She wrote 3 lies in a row from huge news platforms. "I cited my young child as why I didn't want to travel, but notice how none of them mentioned that. Ask yourself why that was." Well, maybe because we got distracted by your cousin's friend's hippo balls. But this actually gives us a chance to talk about something that actually is important. Nicki's cousin's friend got the COVID vaccine. Then his testicles swelled up. But that doesn't mean his testicles swelled up because he got the COVID vaccine. If you get the vaccine, then you fall in a manhole. Doesn't mean Moderna causes manhole accidents. But when two things happen close together, we tend to see them as connected. And for this friend of Nicki's cousin, I hate to say it, but if your testicles swell up that big, the question isn't, did you get a vaccine recently? It's, what have you been doing to your balls?
Exactly. I mean, how does Jimmy Kimmel become the voice of reason in this? And that will do it for our Nicki Minaj coverage for the next 5 years. I don't even know where to go with that.
To Jane Slater?
One thing does not cause the other. See, I don't even want to loop Jane Slater into this. I mean you know, it's her cousin's friend, and apparently he got left at the altar because of swelling. All right.
Well, swelling that caused impotence. Get the whole story right, Jason.
I mean, but the doctor says there's not a single case of swollen testicles in Trinidad and Tobago. Not one. And it certainly wasn't caused by the shot. But, you know, whatever you got to do to convince yourself one way or the other, I guess there you go. Jane Slater from the NFL Network will join us coming up in a couple of minutes. You got a lot of college and NFL games this weekend. You know there's no better place to watch those games than over at the Rue Pub. You know Rue Pub is my go-to spot there at 281 and Redland Road. Best place to watch a game because they've got those 3 massive 170-inch laser TVs, screens right in the front, TVs all around. So no matter wherever you're sitting, you're going to see the game, and you're going to get great food. If they weren't a great sports bar, they would be a great restaurant. The food, fantastic, all made from scratch. And the best, biggest wings in town. I promise you that. 15 different burgers on the menu, great salads, great apps, and their kitchen is open late till 2 a.m. Full menu. So when you're driving around late and you're hungry, don't go to a drive-thru. Get into the Roo Pub at 281 and Redland Road. The game room has the best darts area in town. They've got indoor cornhole, happy hour weekdays from 11 to 6. So it's happy hour over there right now. Great for lunch, great for dinner, great for late at night, and the best place to watch a game. The Roo Pub next to the Angry Elephant at 281 in Redland Road. We'll see you at the Roo.
Friday nights mean one thing. San Antonio Sports Stars High School Football Game of the Week. Powered by Hill Electric. Jason Minix and Kevin Brock have the call each week beginning at 7 p.m. from the GPS of Texas broadcast booth. A Friday night Texas tradition.
Friday, the Madison Mavericks take on the Churchill Chargers. Pre-game at 6:30, kickoff at 7.
High school football each week from San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Happy hour is back at Twin Peaks, and we're offering up more than just great drinks. Score yourself some chips and salsa for just $2. Your choice of mozzarella cheese bites, chips and queso, or fried pickles, where they're just $4. And the triple play quesadillas or 6 boneless wings, that's right, only $6. Each of these epic appetizers are craveable, shareable, and delicious. And what a deal. Happy hour at Twin Peaks just got better. See you Monday through Friday, 2 to 7 p.m. Again at late night. Get to Twin Peaks, eats, drinks, and those scenic views.
Injuries happen, so if you twist, pull, pop, or snap something, you need Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Dr. Espinosa treats all non-surgical orthopedic injuries and has same-day and next-day availability. Telemedicine services are also available. There is no reason to be in pain. If you are hurting, visit Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Learn more at TSAOG.com. That's TSAOG.com, or schedule your appointment by calling 210-804-5490.
What can give you a competitive edge in today's red-hot housing market? Rocket can. That's because Rocket Mortgage can give you a verified approval. It could help your offer stand out, because when you find the perfect home, you don't want to lose it to anybody else. Rocket Technology provides a rock-solid verification of your income, assets, and credit, giving sellers and their agents greater confidence in you. We've already helped over 1 million clients just like you reach their home financing goals this year alone. So remember this, what can help you buy the home you really want? Rocket can. Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today at 8338-ROCKET. That's rocketmortgage.com or call 8338-ROCKET.
A verified approval is based on an underwriter's analysis of your individual financial information appraisal and title report. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish
is pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive, bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said now he speaks Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Live, local, loud. KZDC, San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Jason Minix, The Blitz.
It is the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM. I'm Jason Minix. Glad to have you along on a Wednesday afternoon. And at 5 o'clock every Wednesday, we get to talk with Jane Slater of the NFL Network. She joins us now. Jane, busy day up there at the Star. Let's talk with the breaking news with DeMarcus Lawrence on a foot injury that happened in practice today. Do we have any kind of update, maybe a status for Sunday against the Chargers?
Nothing yet. Clearly that news came out after we left the facility, so haven't really been able to dig into that.
with Randy Gregory, and I guess there's still an opportunity that he could come back, but with no Gregory, and if D-Law can't go, you talk about a pass rush on Justin Herbert. That was already going to be problems with no Randy Gregory. This obviously is going to magnify it. Where do the Cowboys turn to?
Well, we do know that at least you've got Dorrance Armstrong on one side to deal with. He was going to be filling in for Randy Gregory, but at this point, it's literally hard to say. So I guess we'll get some more of those answers tomorrow. It's tricky.
It is tricky because, I mean, you
have
look at
Basham. Keep that in mind. He had 24 snaps and 2 tackles in week 1. Maybe, but yeah.
Well, this is where Dan Quinn's going to have to earn his money, because that was already kind of a unit that didn't have a lot of depth to begin with, and so any kind of injury or positive test was certainly going to create some problems. And then you look at trying to generate pass rush. We saw the defense play pretty good against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers on Thursday night, and I never hold a team accountable for not getting to the quarterback when it's Tom Brady, because he just gets rid of the ball so fast. Watching some of the Washington Chargers game on Sunday, I was thinking there's some opportunities for some sacks from this defense. Now you just have to hope you can cover them well enough.
I mean, it's going to be tricky, especially when you consider just how good this Justin Herbert kid is. I mean, he's so incredibly efficient. He threw 47 times. They had 6 trips to the red zone. 6 trips to the red zone. He was 31 of 47 for 337 yards. He gets the ball out quick. He's athletic. Sorry, I was distracted there. I was getting some text from some sources about the DeMarcus Lawrence thing. So not anything I can say right now.
Okay.
I think my concern heading into this game was, the offensive line, and now we're talking defensive line. And I just keep going back to, it feels like sometimes this team can't catch a break.
Exactly. Jane Slater from the NFL Network with us here on the Blitz. And I think about the offensive line, and, no LC, and I know he's appealing, but even the Cowboys are acting as if. Now, Jerry Jones might say that Terrence Steele is starting. We know what Mike McCarthy said today. Hold on. And I think that's just the competitive advantage, maybe to keep the Chargers guessing and let them spend a couple minutes watching Buffalo film of Ty and Secchi. Maybe you just don't want to reveal your cards too soon. But I think Jerry told us the truth when he was on with the boys from 105.3 The Fan, saying it was going to be Terrence Steele. And Mike McCarthy just isn't going to show his hand this early in the week, if at all.
1,000%. And welcome to Dallas. I've often said this is why guys like Sean Payton won't come to Dallas, because Jerry Jones he jokes that, he's Dr. Jones and, he's player personnel Jones. And the reason why, he was very confident that it was Terrence Steele. And guess who's in all those personnel meetings? He's not at the top of his depth chart if he's not starting. Now, again, like I said, you had Mike McCarthy sort of tempering the combinations, but saying that they were going to use a couple of combinations. But I would also offer this up. I talked to Zach Martin after practice along with a bunch of us reporters, and I said, look, Jerry Jones has Terrence Steele at the top of his depth chart. I'm not going to ask you to give away what the offensive line is, but why not kick out to right tackle, have Connor McGovern play right guard, since he did a good job there? I trust Zach Martin, the 6-time All-Pro Bowler, against a guy like Jerry Bosa over a Terrence Steele. And I got a combination of answers to offer up to you both from Mike McCarthy and Zach. One was, I know you were talking about this week, that you want Zach Martin there at right guard to essentially help out Terrence Steele, who doesn't have a ton of starts under his belt, and Tyler Biadasz, who, if you remember last week, I think he, against Tampa Bay Bucks, I just threw him around like a rag doll. So I think to shore up the center, I think you were completely onto something when you were proffering that as an explanation. I think he's better there. And as one person explained to me, because I even kicked out, I'm sure your listeners know this name very well, Conor Williams out of Texas. I said, he played left tackle in college. Why not flip him over to right tackle? And here's what I was told. His strengths and his skill set are better suited for offensive guard. He's got limited range at offensive tackle. And to answer all of those questions about some of the moves we've been offering up, if you move Conor or Zach, or for that matter, anyone to right tackle, you have to put a backup in. Essentially, you have two backups in. And they explained it to me. You wouldn't put a pure nose tackle at defensive end every play just because your defensive end is out. Same with offensive tackle and offensive guard. Different movement pattern, different skill set. So I think what they're really trying to do here is, how can we shore up that position without having to put in multiple backups with limited reps at certain positions? And they've been working out guys like Brandon Knight, Terrence Dill, and Ty Nseki at this position specifically in case of an emergency. And I think they've been doing that in a couple of positions just because of, with Zach Martin, who I even said, just to paraphrase here, I said, do you have reservations about playing right tackle? In other words, have you told them you wouldn't? And he said, because I said you played last year 2 games, and he was quick to point out, well, that was a different situation. We had like 6 tackles that were down, but he said, I'm a right guard. And so without saying it, it was saying, I'm a right guard. That's the position I want to play. But I don't think people should mistake that as him saying, I'm not a team guy. I don't want to help the team. It's just the Cowboys truly believe they've got a guy in Terrence Dill that's serviceable there. And I kicked that out to a lot of people that have either been associated with this team and the offensive line, or that coaches this team in the offseason. Duke Manyweather works with Tyron Smith and Lau Collins. And so I, again, wanted to just kick it out and be like, what do you guys think? And everyone I talked to, as much as the fans might kind of turn their nose up at it, they actually agree with the decision. They feel like Terrence Dill did some good work in the offseason. You sort of let him settle in, see how he does in the first half, and then perhaps you make adjustments. But people I talked to that are familiar with this personnel felt pretty good about this plan, if that's what it is, since Mike McCarthy won't confirm it just yet.
Well, and I think that's half the battle is what I've learned from Mike McCarthy is he'll give you some, but he's not going to give you all of it. And you don't get the old Jason Garrett walk and talks, where he'll give you a little bit more insight. But I do think there's all of it is true. I think all of it factors in. But if you move Zach to tackle, then you're exposing your center and your guard, where if he's at guard, he can help the center and the tackle, especially if it's the young guy in Terrence Steele, who's from San Antonio. I've known that kid for a long time. And, you think about changing his body, and everybody talked about that in Oxnard, and you could see it. And I know this is going to hurt a little bit. And as a Longhorn, you'll understand where I'm coming from. Last year as a rookie, he realized, coming from the Big 12, he wasn't playing Big 12 defenses anymore. And I think we saw that, Saturday, the Longhorns offensive line realized the SEC's different. You've got to get bigger and stronger. And that's what Terrence Steele did over the summer.
Yeah, look, he started 14 games at right tackle last season, so it's not like he hasn't had experience at the position. And, going back to Duke, who's worked with him in the offseason, he really told me that he had a huge offseason. He impressed him with his process. He improved his strength, his core, consistency with his pass set and his hand usage. So I'm going to trust the guy that's worked out with a lot of these offensive linemen, who holds an offensive line camp in Dallas with guys like Lane Johnson. If he tells me he feels pretty good with this guy, I feel pretty good with him too. And like I said, that's not coming from me touting the Cowboys line or, giving you the team speak. That's literally from someone who has independently worked with him outside of the Star in Frisco.
Jane Slater from the NFL Network joining us here on the Blitz on San Antonio Sports Star. She's going to do this every week, every Wednesday during the season. Looking forward to this. Now, one of the things I love doing is learning new stuff every day. And listening to Mike McCarthy's press conference today, we learned that offensive balance doesn't necessarily come down to number of rushing attempts versus number of pass attempts. It's about the blocking scheme. So your offensive linemen on their heels, or they run blocking, because he kind of counts RPOs now as run plays, if you will, as part of run blocking. When you were hearing that, were you buying that, or were you thinking, all right, are you trying to justify 58 passes for Dak Prescott and trying to make us go, okay, all right, I'll buy what you're selling here, Coach?
Well, I mean, look, they said earlier this week, it was Kellen Moore said they had 28 runs. Dak checked out of 12. Zeke seemed to support that. I did say today to Zeke, I said, Zeke wants to eat. Is Zeke hungry? And he said, yes, he's hungry. But he also said, we each have an assignment during the play. And if that's what my assignment is, I pride myself on being a well-rounded player. And I'd rather have a guy like that on my team who's willing to do what's required of me versus complaining about when he's going to get his reps in. Because, it hasn't been easy for him the last 2 years. I'm not saying woe is Zeke. He owns last season in ball security. Like, that's why they started going to Tony Pollard. But I do think if you go back and look at that game, there were a lot of those passing plays that ended up in first downs as a result of some of those dirty blocks by Zeke. And they just truly don't have some true block. They don't have a Jason Witten on this team that can block for them. And given, the instability of this offensive line, they've asked Zeke to do things that he wouldn't otherwise do. I also noticed in that game, they were really moving the defenses over to him. And so heading into the season, the Cowboys said they wanted a more balanced offense, but they weren't going to force it. So if the passing plays are there and you have three talented wide receivers, last week, now you've got Michael Gallup out for a few weeks here. When you got guys like Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb who can come up big, I hated seeing Dak throw 58 passes, especially after seeing him warm up for 45 minutes ahead of the game because, we're literally being told pregame he's getting biweekly MRIs to keep an eye on the shoulder, which tells you, it's not like they think he's out of the woods because it is one of those complicated injuries. It's not unique to football. It's unique to baseball. They're monitoring it, but yet you're having him throw 58 times. But I think what I also like about that is that's Dak and Kellen Moore saying this is what works. This is what's going to put us in this game. And, to their credit, it did. It kept them in the game. But I do think you want a more, balanced offense. And I think they want it. Everyone keeps telling me or keeps asking me, especially around here, because I grew up in Dallas and I'm the person that everyone checks ahead of games, especially when they're assorting their fantasy football lineups. Is Zeke going to eat?
Yeah.
My answer is, since we've seen Mike McCarthy last season, he just hasn't shown a propensity for the run game. And if you go back to Green Bay, he didn't either. He even talked about it in camp. He said, I think maybe you were there for this one, Jason. He said, yeah, it's sexier to call passing plays than run plays.
Yep.
So I don't know. But also, like I said, when you've got talented guys like Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, especially when you looked at that opening drive when he was backed up to their own shoe, coming back from an injury, and he throws, 37 yards to Amari Cooper on that very first play out of the gate. You're going to get it to guys who can get it done for you. So I don't know. I'm not an offensive coordinator. I've got to trust what they're doing. I can understand why fans are frustrated. And I think it's because of the price tag that's associated with having a guy like Zeke on your roster and all the money that's tied up in him, because you could probably have a better secondary if you weren't putting all that money there. I get it. I think in the absence of that offensive line being what it once was, the dynamic of this offense is going to change.
I think as we visit with Jane Slater from the NFL Network here on the Blitz on San Antonio Sports Star, I think the only people that are really mad about Zeke's performance, his rushing performance, are fantasy football owners that have Zeke, right? I mean, because Zeke had one hell of a game against Tampa Bay. That one block gave Dak the time to throw that touchdown pass to Amari Cooper, another third down block that, just off the top of my head, remembering, you called them dirty blocks earlier. The guy had a great football game. He just had 11 carries for 33 yards, and you don't get fantasy points for blocks. So I think those that are upset about Zeke and his total have him on their fantasy teams, and that was a bad start. And you probably should have known that going against Tampa Bay. The other part of it is when you see 58
they have one of the best
passes,
run defenses in the league.
Exactly. Good fantasy owner does a little research and says, yeah, they're probably not going to run the ball a lot in this one. Now, I will say, though, 2 completions or 2 targets out of the backfield. I was surprised he wasn't more involved in the pass game, but doesn't that come back to they needed him to block with Zach Martin out with COVID? And now they're going to probably need him to block with La'el Collins out. Although I look at Washington, they ran the ball well against the Chargers. This might be the game for Zeke to eat.
I was just about to say that I think you could probably expect to see a little bit more from Zeke this week. But again, we'll see. Just as much as the players themselves are saying, we don't have enough tape on Brandon Staley's defense as it relates to Chargers, we have to go back and look at the Rams tape. It's hard to evaluate what Staley's defense is going to look like after one game against Washington, So
yeah.
I think big TBD, but I do think, as they were alluding to, he's got a lot of elements of Vic Fangio in his defense. He disguises his defenses really, really well, gives them a lot more time back there. We'll see how the Cowboys react to that.
Well, and you look at it, Jane, and most of us had the Cowboys losing against Tampa Bay. And, I'm not a moral victory guy, especially when you left the points out on the field that they did. And I'm not even talking about Greg Zuerlein. You feel pretty good about the game and what we saw and from this offense against Tampa Bay. They just can't start 0-2. Is there more pressure on the team this week to go out to LA and get a win against the Chargers in what I expect to be a de facto home game?
I mean, you'd be surprised though. The Rams and the Chargers fan base, because it's at SoFi and the Cowboys there, I think there's going to be a lot of blue jerseys in the stands. But I think because of the way that Justin Herbert has been playing, I think they're quietly growing their fan base there. I just think that a lot of people are trying to say that this is the Chargers team of old, and it's not. So I don't look at this as being the easiest matchup. I mean, if you think about it, these are two really tough games on the road, and this is a team that started a week early training camp and were immediately on the road playing that preseason game against the Steelers. It's been a tough stretch for these guys. They've had 10 guys out with COVID since the start of training camp. And so I'm not making excuses for this team by any means, but I think if they can keep this one close too, and then just get themselves the Eagles game, which, by the way, after watching Jalen Hurts play this weekend, I'm not convinced that the Eagles are going to be an easy team to get past either. But I also just don't think that it's two tough road games against two really tough offenses and defenses. So I don't know. I just, like I said, I got family members that are like, are the Cowboys back? And I'm like, I don't know. I think everyone just keeps thinking, oh, well, it was COVID. It was it was an outlier. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this coaching staff still. That's what we talked about, last week. Especially some of the coaching decisions that they made in that Bucs game. I thought the players played their hearts out with the exception of Greg the Leg, who, by the way, also today said that he is feeling good. Not surprised they brought in Liam, who I'm not even going to attempt to say.
Yeah,
Liam's
good for you. I was going to say, that's all on you. Come on, Jane. that's all on you.
Yeah, I'm not going to butcher it. So that was special teams, but that was bad coaching that cost them that game. I really liked the play of the defense. I thought that was huge. And so for me, I'm just looking at building blocks and signs of life from this team because they were non-existent last year.
True. And I think it's, I don't even know what the word is, but for the Cowboys to run Greg Zuerlein out there knowing that he wasn't 100%, malpractice comes to mind, but I know that's not the right word. But, certainly that's on the coaching staff and or personnel department to say, hey, let's go with him. We know he's not right, but whatever, we'll trot him out there because that was 4 points. But then also Blake Jarwin missing that block.
But then to attempt the 60-yard field goal when he's not having a night. I mean, I'm hoping it's just a case of the yips. It's I even asked him today. I said, did you avoid social media after that? He's like, I don't have Twitter, and I was like, smart. He's like, nothing good comes from it. I got the sense that, he said he was right back out there Sunday on kicking. So again, we'll see how he looks. I mean, we don't get to see a lot in practice during the week. Now that we're in season, we're fairly limited. So I can't really give you like a true evaluation of how he's looking, but I think everybody's focused on offense, defense. I'm like, let's talk about special teams because that was the one thing that really held you back on the road against a really good team.
Well, I mean, the special teams, punt return, and clock management, that final drive after that run by CeeDee Lamb, that catch and run, the fact that they didn't run the ball there, even if they weren't going to gain a yard, you can't throw an incomplete pass there and stop the clock and give Tom Brady that time. Either the Bucs would have used timeouts or they would have used a lot of clock. I just thought those were the times where you force the run. Even if you get none yards, at least you're forcing timeouts or clock. I thought the clock management in the final 2 minutes was bad.
Which is what everyone hated about Jason Garrett. But at least
I was going to clap. Yeah.
Jason Garrett inspired this team. I don't know. It's really hard to give you a sense of how good this team is from a personnel perspective and a coaching perspective because of all of the things that happened last year, from Marcus Paul's death in the weight room to COVID to 4 quarterbacks, playing last season, to an offensive line that was hampered, to it's hard to say. And then as we start this season, Mike McCarthy keeps saying it feels like, year one for him. And I would argue that's not too far off, because if you think about of all the starters that actually played together last year, very limited. So this group under this coaching staff wasn't that cohesive last year. So it does feel like year one for them. And I would just say, I covered a lot of Tampa Bay Bucs games last year. They did not look great without continuity either at the beginning of the season. And then they really started to stack wins towards midseason. So, maybe this is still a time for this team to work out its kinks, get through some of their injuries, get through this suspension. And then maybe if they are able to play together, they start hitting their stride midseason, which would not be a terrible thing. I mean, keep in mind, we haven't even played a divisional game yet. I'm not expecting them to be all world, whereas I think a lot of fans were sort of hoping for that right out of the gate. I'm just saying signs of life are your quarterback doesn't look hampered. He looked outstanding on the road. Defense got turnovers. That was the biggest thing that you've been looking for all along. You escaped that game with not a lot of injuries except for what you've got from Michael Gallup, although I hate to see Gallup go down because Cedric Wilson's a pretty good wide receiver. And if he does good enough, the Cowboys are not going to pay Michael Gallup next year. So I hate that for him because it sort of takes away his leverage if Cedric Wilson balls out. But I think these are things that Cowboy fans should be encouraged by. But I know Cowboys, anytime I post any silver lining, Cowboys fans don't want to hear it. They're very similar. And I'll go back to what I said last week to the Texas fan base. They want to win now. They want to beat Tom Brady. They should have beat Tom Brady. I'm like, I was expecting a blowout on the road. So I just, like I said, covering this team last year, it was nice to see this team battling and fighting the way that they did. I think they need some time still with this coaching staff and with each other to have some continuity. And I just think that that's something they haven't had.
And you look at it, first off, Cowboy fan base is not reasonable. We know that, but it certainly pays all our bills, right? And that's a good thing. But you also look at it and say, good teams have to learn how to win. And last week was a prime example of a good team figures out how to win that game. Tampa Bay did that. Can the Cowboys do that this week against the Chargers? I mean, if they get the win and it's a battle, that's that stepping stone. Browns and Chiefs, the Browns aren't quite there yet. Kansas City figured out how to win that game. And they've got to take that next step, and then we'll see. And we know the schedule is going to lighten up a bit after this game against the Chargers. Oh, as you mentioned, the Eagles look great against a bad Atlanta team. Follow her on Twitter at Slater NFL, Jane Slater from the NFL Network. Before I let you go, when we talk next week, are we talking about a 1-1 Cowboy team or 0-2 and the sky is falling?
0-2, but it's going to be another close one. I don't typically make picks. But I want to temper the emotions of this group. I think with Dak Prescott, he's going to give you your best chance to win. But I think if you're not going to have your 2 edge rushers getting to Justin Herbert, it could be a very long day for the Cowboys.
Certainly could. It's going to be interesting. Jane, always appreciate the time. We'll see you on TV and talk to you next week.
Don't worry. Bye.
Jane Slater from the NFL Network on Twitter at Slater NFL. Always good stuff with her. We'll talk more about the Cowboys. This injury to D-Law, but Pledge has some interesting Spurs trade rumors that we're going to get into coming up in just a bit. And Jake Spavital, head coach of the Texas State Bobcats, he will join us at 6 o'clock. You think about football season, you think about tailgating, you're home gating. You know I'm a big Kielbasa fan. Kielbasa smoked meats based right here in San Antonio. You're going to fire up that grill. You know you want the best sausage on that grill. You need to get into the grocery store and get yourself some Kielbasa sausage. I love to do it right off the grill into a flour tortilla. And what's interesting is that was kind of the idea behind Kielbasa when they created the sausage when the company started in 1949, a San Antonio-based company that designed their sausage to fit perfectly in a tortilla. You ever wonder why their links are cut the way they are and others are different? It's because when they started the company, they wanted the Kielbasa sausage to fit perfectly in a tortilla. It doesn't get more San Antonio than that, than when you design your product to be tortilla friendly. You know it's football season. Get your cold beverage, get your tortilla. Most importantly, get that great Kielbasa sausage. Get into the grocery store, get yourself some Kielbasa today. Spurs Trade Rumors coming up next after Sports Center with James Pledger.
Thanks, Jason. Well, we've got a little bit more to update on the DeMarcus Lawrence injury, as he suffered a foot injury in practice today and is being evaluated to determine the severity of his injury. The latest from Trahan of Dallas, I believe it was Morning News.
WFAA.
WFAA, newest TV up
Channel
there.
8 up there.
But Trahan says
that
they believe that it is a broken foot that DeMarcus Lawrence suffered in practice today. He, along with Randy Gregory, who is likely to miss the game this weekend as he is currently in COVID protocols. Houston Texans placed defensive tackle Vincent Taylor on the injured reserve and signed defensive tackle Jaleel Johnson off the Saints practice squad, who was with the Texans in training camp during final cuts. The Texans won't have to be facing off against Odell Beckham Jr. as he will miss his second straight game of the season, dating back to the knee injury he suffered last year against the Cowboys on October the 2nd. Tonight, the Texas Rangers, who evened up their series with the Astros last night with an 8-1 win, will continue that series from Globe Life Field with first pitch set for 7:05, a game you can catch right here on your home for Rangers baseball. San Antonio Sports Star. It all starts at 6:30 with the pregame. I'm James Pledger.
ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
If you and your spouse went from I do to I don't, it may be time to walk down a new aisle. Call DivorceDude.com at 210-201-0303 and ask for Mark, the Divorce Dude with Polling Law PLLC. DivorceDude.com can help you get a fast, affordable, agreed divorce. But if you want to fight, the Divorce Dude can fight for you. DivorceDude.com gives you easy legal options and sticks with you every step of the way. If the marriage is over, why fight? DivorceDude.com.
No one outfits golfers better than Edwin Watts Golf Shops. We've been fitting golfers since 1968. Utilizing cutting-edge fitting technology, we'll analyze your swing and our Foresight launch monitors and fit you with the perfect club, pair of shoes, the latest golf apparel, golf balls, bags, and more. So come by today for your complete custom fitting. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee.
I need tech that can make me as productive in my home office as I am at my office.
It's possible with Staples Connect. How about a PC that'll help me get the most out of my day and my budget?
Staples Connect makes it possible with the tools you need to work from anywhere. And now get up to $200 off select PCs, like the Lenovo IdeaPad 5i with Intel i5 processor. Explore what's new at your local Staples or staplesconnect.com. Staples Connect, the working and learning store. Ends 9/18. In-store only, limit 2.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity, and you need to know when you win, you're gonna get paid. You need a sports book that offers all the action to make every game feel like the playoffs. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. Nobody in the industry gives bigger bonuses than BetUS. I play at BetUS, and so should you. Now is your turn. Join now. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. My favorite sports book, BetUS.com.
Join now and get up to 200% in bonuses on your first deposit. Call 1-800-MY-BET-US.
Tell them Sap sent you.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, then get ready to pay up. The IRS has giant private collection agencies actively tracking down folks who owe the IRS. So if you think dodging them was stressful in the past, it's going to get a whole lot tougher. Optima Tax Relief has this advice. Don't wait. Solve your tax problems now before it's too late. Optima Tax Relief works to stop the demand letters, stop the aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS collectors from targeting you. Ask Optima about the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands, and nobody knows this program better than they do. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, and they get results, having resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get a fresh start. Call today for your free consultation.
Call 800-709-7022. 800-709-7022. 800-709-7022.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Rudy J here, and I want to tell you about Enrique Custom Vision. Dr. Enrique has performed over 58,000 laser vision corrections, and he's the only Z-LASIK trainer in the area. He treats nearsightedness, farsightedness, and even astigmatism. And all procedures are blade-free and pain-free, and they just take seconds per eye. Get the vision you deserve without glasses and contacts. Call 354-2020 today to get the Enrique difference. Don't compromise your only set of eyes. Call 354-2020 today.
This is The Blitz with Jason Minix and the brightest sports insiders. San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
It is The Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250. 94.5 FM. I'm Jason Minix. James Pledger is shaking his head. Why?
Oh, I guess about as official it could be, as Todd Archer is now reporting that it is a broken foot. Undetermined amount of time for DeMarcus Lawrence.
So Joe Trahan tweets it, and it's all right. But Todd Archer tweets it, and it's done deal. Todd Archer. Is that your bench line?
No.
I kind of go with Jane and or John Machota.
Sure.
If it's one of those two,
But I've seen 3 to 4. Trahan was the first I saw tweet about it. Once I see multiple people tweeting about it, I feel pretty confident about it.
Yeah, Calvin Watkins, source confirms, reports DeMarcus Lawrence suffered a broken foot in practice today, coming off minor back surgery. Jory Epstein, Cowboys DeMarcus Lawrence fractured his foot in practice today. John Machota, just a major blow for the Cowboys defense. They were already expected to be without Randy Gregory for Sunday's game. Yeah, it's not good. And again, you look at, can this defense catch a break? Now, the Randy Gregory part is certainly an interesting factor here because he's on the COVID list. He's vaccinated. I hear about Zach Martin talking about, and Zach talked to the media today. He said that he was having dinner and he couldn't taste dinner. That was his first indication. Then he had some head congestion and no taste or smell for a couple of days. And for us, I again, I've had a cold and I was scared to death. Went and tested. I was negative. I guess that's the thing. I've had some other friends that all of a sudden, generally it starts in the morning. I go to brush my teeth and I don't taste my minty fresh toothpaste. That's kind of your indication of going, oh crap, let me go get tested. Or I don't taste anything. I got it. I got to stay home, right? I mean, it's one of the two. I can't imagine going throughout the day. It's fine. And then all of a sudden you eat dinner. I mean, and the thing is, you're a pro athlete. I'm guessing your dinners are pretty bland, right? A lot of chicken and rice. I wonder what he was eating when he was like, there's no taste on this.
Well, I figure offensive linemen eat good.
But they eat healthy. They are health. I mean, healthier than we do. I mean, but my first thought is, all right, well, bland. I mean, chicken and rice, no taste. I'm curious now what he was eating that he couldn't taste. And, you kind of wonder, because he was eating with his family, did his wife screw up the meal? And he was like, honey, this tastes bad. I can't taste anything. Oh, it's just COVID. Your meal was good. I mean, you just wonder sometimes, right? I mean, if you can't cook worth a damn, sometimes if you can't taste it, that makes the meal even better.
Oh.
Just saying.
Maybe COVID's the excuse to save a relationship.
No. I'm trying to. I got to be honest, guys. This DeMarcus Lawrence, man, this is a kick in the nuts. I mean, hearing he broke his foot in practice. I mean, I want to get so excited about this team. Yet there's that something holding you back. That you don't want to just totally buy in. I mean, yes, in August and in late July, we can talk Cowboys going to the Super Bowl. That's part of the rule book. When you join the fan club and send Jerry that $25 on page 1, you always talk about the Super Bowl in July and August. But once again, September, you've got to put on your realistic glasses. And realistically, what I saw from the Cowboys team last week was encouraging. What I saw from the football team, yeah, and they're playing the Chargers, the team the Cowboys have this week. And now Ryan Fitzpatrick is out for a while. They're not going to be near as good, although defensively they're still damn good. Jury is still out for me when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, just because the Atlanta Falcons are that bad. Although Jaylon did look pretty good. Maybe they're going to be a little better than we thought. And the Jason Garrett Giants, yeah, they're the Jason Garrett Giants. So I was feeling really good about winning the NFC East. Yeah, 0-2 start, nobody wants that. And just mentally, the psychology of an 0-2 start sucks. But when you put on your realistic glasses, you're starting against Tampa Bay with 22 back. And then you got a really good Chargers team on the road. And then your schedule gets kind of easy. That middle portion, it's kind of like the sandwich. You've got the good bread, to start with. But then when you get inside here, the Cowboys have a chance to start stacking wins. And then the schedule does get tougher. But, 0-2 start is an end of the world. Although, if they don't win on Sunday, I'll tell you now, I don't know that I'll be total sky is falling depending on how they look. But I don't want an 0-2 start. I don't mind losing to Tampa Bay. Go beat the Chargers. But there's now even more on this Cowboys offense. Because without Randy Gregory and without DeMarcus Lawrence, I don't know where the pass rush comes from. I don't. I mean, Dorrance Armstrong, he doesn't strike fear. There's the linebackers, as versatile as they are, but they're not defensive ends. That size isn't there. I did see the secondary outside of Anthony Brown play pretty well the other day against Tom Brady. My guess is Justin Herbert is going to pick on Anthony Brown for 4 quarters Sunday in Los Angeles. That's what you would expect them to do. That's what they need it to do, right? The Pledge, you're either standing really still or your screen is frozen. But that's a very awkward position for you to be standing in. The idea that a loss of DeMarcus Lawrence, there's a couple of guys you just can't lose. You can't lose D-Law. You can't lose Dak Prescott. At some point, we know we're going to be without Tyron Smith. We're already without Lael Collins. It's in some ways, it just feels like a lot like last year. This is where Mike McCarthy has to rally the troops and get these guys to play above their head. They already had a tall order coming in trying to replace Lael Collins on the offense, and what are they going to do with Randy Gregory? DeMarcus Lawrence would know Gregory was going to get double teams all day. Who was going to come in and fill that gap? Now it's still early in the season. I don't know any details on the break yet, if it's going to require surgery, if it's a 4 to 6 week deal. You get them back shortly after the bye, and still 8, 9, 10 games to play. That certainly is a possibility with this 17 game schedule. We got to find out the severity of this injury and really the timetable for return and if surgery is needed or not. And sometimes the surgeries, as we talk about with our docs on TSAOG Orthopedics every Tuesday, and we might get an emergency call tomorrow depending on what we learn. Sometimes the surgery is to go in there and put a screw or something to speed up the recovery. Can you play on a broken foot? I mean, depending on, is it a pain tolerance thing? I remember hearing about guys with broken legs playing in Super Bowls. I've talked to him once or twice. He's not a fan of Rob Thompson. He gives him funny looks. But I mean, you wonder. I mean, how the severity is. Rudolph Renee on our Facebook Live says D-Law wasn't all that last season. Dude, you were so wrong on that. And he had back issues last year and had off-season back surgery. He was all that. And again, he didn't get the sacks last year. You know why? Because he had all the double teams. He gets all the attention. He still wreaked havoc. That allowed, what's his name, to get in there and make some sacks. He's not here anymore, and I think he's out of the league. But, so you look at it, the attention that DeMarcus Lawrence drew allowed other guys to step up and play big. So kind of like Zeke the other day. Yeah, he didn't have a lot of touches or carries, but he had a major impact on that game with his blocking. D-Law was disruptive on a lot of ways and attracted a lot of attention. If you're just looking at sack totals, yeah, sure, you're right. You're right. But that doesn't mean he didn't have an impact on those games. And last year was just a total dumpster fire. It is interesting when you think about Zeke and the numbers that he had. I really do think the only people that are really, really upset about his 33 yards last week have him in fantasy football. I'm talking to you, Rob Thompson. The rest of you, probably understand that, blocking is a part of the game. But that's why when you're looking at your fantasy team, you got to look at who the matchups are. You got to look and see who they're playing defensively, what the matchups might be. Are they going from the West Coast to the East and playing at a noon game like the Raiders are doing this weekend? I mean, there's a lot more to just picking the most popular name, unless, of course, you're not really in it to win money. That is why you need to play fantasy football online at UnderdogFantasy.com. It is the best new place to play fantasy sports. They have daily and season-long fantasy sports and an NFL pick'em game that is fantastic. I love the pick'em format. Pick any 2 to 5 player props to parlay together, and you can win up to 20 times your entry in one night. They have over-under, where you can pick whether a player is going to go over or under a given stat line in their game. I'll tell you, I picked Andy Dalton the other day in an over-under that he would have more than 19.5 completions. Cashed it in the third quarter of that game. They got rivals picks where you can pick which player between the two of them will have more of a given stat line in their game. It's so much fun to play. You can play online at UnderdogFantasy.com, or you could download and play on their mobile app. Sign up today. Use promo code RADIO and make your first deposit to receive a free $25 in bonus cash. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. Register with promo code RADIO to get $25 cash for free with your first deposit. Download the app today and start playing today. Just make sure you use promo code RADIO at signup, because I get graded for that. Promo code RADIO at signup. Terms and conditions apply. Go download their mobile app or play online, UnderdogFantasy.com.
1, 2, 3. Live and local sports talk to get you out the door. Rob Thompson, Rudy J, R&R in the morning on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Injuries do happen. If you twist, pull, pop, or snap something, you need Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Dr. Espinosa treats all non-surgical orthopedic injuries, and he has same-day and next-day availability. Telemedicine services are also available. There's no reason for you to be in pain. So if you're hurting, visit Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics, and if surgery is needed, you get referred to the specialist that's going to take care of you. That's a specialist in whatever is bothering you, so you get out of pain. Schedule an appointment now by calling 210-804-5490, 804-5490, or learn more online, TSAOG.com. That's TSAOG.com.
Central Builders Incorporated is a family-owned, award-winning general contractor headquartered in San Antonio. Since 1989, CBI has completed over $1 billion in construction projects, including large-scale remodeling, expansions, and ground-up construction. The award-winning CBI has also been recognized by the San Antonio Business Journal as one of the best places to work for the past 4 years, and Central Builders is hiring. Learn more at centralbuilders.net. That's centralbuilders.net.
Great news, Slackers! Slackers Sports and Arcade Bar is now opening at noon 7 days a week at all 4 area locations. North Star, St. Mary's, Slackadoches, and the Medical Center. Slackers is the home for 7-day-a-week happy hour, now starting at noon every day. And by popular demand, Slackers brings back the signature frozen drinks. Bring a date, bring a crew, or come on down solo. Slackers Sports and Arcade Bar serves you up all your favorites and quenches your thirst 7 days a week, starting every day at noon. Visit slackersbarssa.com for more info.
Oh, according to research, 82% of people remember radio ads. So 82% of you listening will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. 82% of you will note that if you're hiring, ZipRecruiter finds qualified people for your job. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And 82% of you will remember that you can try ZipRecruiter for free, but you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Yes, free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Now's the time to get a great deal on Kubota construction equipment, featuring durable Kubota engines, more comfort, more productivity, more get it done right. The Kubota construction lineup shows up ready to work every day. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 48 months, or save up to $7,000. Now through September 30th, 2021. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com.
From the Gulf of Mexico to the hill country of Texas, Ewald Kubota is your Kubota dealer.
This is the place where time stands still. With each down, there's a battle of inches.
How about 83 yards from Prescott to Elliott?
This is San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
This is Carl Schoening on your home for Texas Rangers baseball. San Antonio's Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
DeMarcus Lawrence at Tank Lawrence tweets out, "We'll be back and ready for war. Believe it. Hopefully sooner rather than later." Just don't rush back. Get right. Get right. Be there for the stretch run. You'll get another opportunity to all play in SoFi Stadium sometime in February. Let's hope. Fingers crossed. It is the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. I'm Jason Minix. Glad to have you along on a Wednesday afternoon. Texas State Bobcats head coach Jake Spavital. He will join us coming up in about 10 minutes. Pledge, go over some of these Spurs rumors you were telling me about earlier. I mean, I know on halftime with Rob and Carl, they do the Ben Simmons rumor of the day. And the NBA season starts in 34 days. You know, mentally, I've got the NBA a little bit on a shelf right now. I mean, my focus is on football. I need a little break from the basketball, unless there's something real to talk about. I see this rumor and I go, all right, well, maybe there's some real here, because, you know, the Spurs have to do something. I expect them to do something. And, you know, this is a guy that, you know, he doesn't even know yet, hadn't signed a lease in this town yet. So, what weight do you put on this trade rumor?
On the Thad Young to Phoenix for Dario Saric?
Yeah. I am not going with Carl Schoening reading me a damn tweet about Ben Simmons from some dude that has 34 followers. I don't give a damn about that. But I know he's got to fill a segment with your Ben Simmons rumor of the day. So, I mean, you know, that's like the guy that called the Washington, D.C. Sports radio station and said that he saw Ryan Fitzpatrick at the water park a couple of days before he hurt his hip and thinks he actually hurt his hip at the water slide. Mm-hmm. It was funny. And the guy was very convicted in his call to the radio station trying to report an injury. But I don't want to hear those. But there seems like there could be some meat on this bone.
Yeah, well, this isn't That's because this isn't the first time we've heard this rumor pop up.
True.
We've heard it 3 times throughout this offseason so far since the Spurs season ended, and that would be since acquiring Thad Young, the Phoenix Suns have rumored interest in Thad Young, and the package has seemingly revolved around 2019 first-round pick, Jaylon Smith, not that Jaylon Smith, not the Dallas Cowboys Jaylon Smith, different Jaylon Smith, played at Maryland.
Well, that's good because number 9 is already in the rafters.
He's a bouncy big out of Maryland, and he actually was one of the people that R.C. Buford was seen scouting his final year as the general manager in person. So there is some dots to connect with Jaylon Smith and Dario Saric, who would make the salaries match.
Now, Sarge is the one that got hurt in the in the finals, and the Phoenix Suns really missed him and what he offered up. Now, that's 1 for 2, with 2 coming back to San Antonio. Spurs are already over the limit, so there could be some other movement there. But I like this deal for San Antonio. I do too. I think this works in a lot of ways, and I think part of that is, they took Thad because they had to, so that DeMar DeRozan could end up with the Chicago Bulls. I don't know how Thad really fits in San Antonio. So I mean, did we ever see a picture with him in even a Spurs jersey? I don't even think they went through the typical formalities, right? It's all right, man. You're with us for now. You won't be here long. We'll let you know where to start training camp, but it's probably not going to be in the 2-0.
Enjoy your off season. We'll let you know where you're going next.
Yeah, so you don't. But this one, maybe. And again, the NBA season starts in 34 days. Training camps start next week or end of the month? 2 weeks. It's
end of the month.
It's right around the corner when NBA training camps start, and so you could see some movement there. But that is a rumor that I heard that I went, all right, this is worthy of discussion. This isn't talking about some Ben Simmons thing from some dude that's got 34 followers, but then, I just think, all right, I could see this one happening. Not a blockbuster, not a major thing, pieces and parts, and it does not include draft picks for San Antonio, because I don't want the Spurs giving up future draft picks because they need those for the rebuild. That's what it's going to be about. It is the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. I'm a big music guy, and I saw Alanis Morissette in concert in the 90s over at Municipal Auditorium when it was still there. And I saw her a couple years ago in Memphis at Memphis in May, and she put on one hell of a performance. A friend of mine saw her a couple weeks ago in Rhode Island, said it sucked. She makes the news today because I knew HBO was working on this documentary about Alanis Morissette. It's a documentary called Jagged. The ironic thing here is Alanis isn't happy with the HBO documentary. She has seen the first cut of it and said, this isn't the story I agreed to tell. She said she spent hours doing all these interviews. And whatever you're going to see on HBO, Alanis Morissette is not happy about it, to the point that she is going to do zero publicity for this documentary, except to release a statement through her peoples that say, this isn't anything I agreed to. This isn't the story I wanted to tell. Doesn't that make you want to watch it even more? Because there's been all kinds of things with Alanis Morissette in her life that if you followed her career that you've heard about. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And man, the ugly is ugly. I mean, ugly, ugly. So I don't know if she was looking for like a Tony Parker fluff piece or somebody to do a true documentary. But in her statement, she says, quote, I was lulled into a false sense of security, and their salacious agenda became apparent immediately upon my seeing the first cut of the film. This is when I knew our visions were, in fact, painfully diverged. This was not the story I agreed to tell. And she also says that she started doing the interviews while dealing with postpartum, so she wasn't maybe in the best space to be doing said interviews for a documentary. but now I'm more curious about it than I would have been. I mean, it would have been one of those things that you see pop up and you hit record and you watch when you get around to it. You know, I kind of did that last night with the 30 for 30 on the New York Mets. I didn't watch it live. I haven't watched it yet, but I recorded it because, well, it's a 30 for 30. I'm going to get to it. I know it's going to be good. But seeing everybody talking about it last night and tweeting about it, now I want to go watch it. I want, you know, more. My interest level now is higher than it was, you know, to make it appointment TV. Now I'm more curious about this Alanis Morissette documentary than I was. I mean, that thing might have sat on my DVR for months until after the football season. Now, it debuts November 19th. I even put a little note in my calendar to remind me to go find it on the DVR. Jake Spavital of the Texas State Bobcats. He joins us next here on the Blitz as they've got a big game coming up Saturday night against the UIW Cardinals. You know, as you start making your plans for the weekend, nobody ever plans on getting arrested, but it does happen to a lot of people every day for all kinds of reasons. If you get arrested, you want to get out of jail fast, you know the best way to do that is to call my good friend Albert and his great staff at AA Best Bail Bonds. 210-225-2121. Text the word bail to 474747, or you can even start the bonding process online at mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else to get out of jail, and you don't want to be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you a PR bond, make sure you truly understand what all those conditions are before accepting it. Whether it's you, a family member, a friend of yours, your best option for stress-free bail bonds is AA Best Bail Bonds because nobody beats their price. They have payment plans available, offer a free shuttle service. They're discreet and confidential and open 24/7. Offices all over San Antonio and Texas, services nationwide. License number 149. Whether you're here in San Antonio, up in Dallas, and Corpus, in the Valley, anywhere in between, AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. Or online, mybestbailbonds.com.
Emotion. There are few places in the broadcast universe where emotion is so sweet.
Nothing in one to count. Here's the pitch. A high fly ball hit out into left field. Cave going back to the wall. He leaps. It's out of here. Home run for Adolis Garcia.
There's one. On to first. There's two. And there's your ball game.
This is San Antonio Sports Star. ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Can you feel it?
Jason Minix here for Alamo Water Softeners. Go to their website, alamowatersofteners.com, because you're going to find everything you're going to need at alamowatersofteners.com to get them to come out to your house and get you and your family's water treatment taken care of. And they got the perfect solution right now because they've got an incredible sale. Their top-of-the-line CareSoft Elite Plus One filter is on sale right now, where you could save $1,000 on this advanced two-stage system built to protect your family from harmful contaminants that might be in your water. Save $1,000 on the CareSoft Elite Plus One system while supplies last. Alamo Water Softeners provides the best value for the highest quality water treatment. That's why they were voted a 2020 neighborhood favorite on the Nextdoor app. And I know firsthand, I've had a water softener from Alamo Water Softeners for about a decade. Wouldn't live without one. And they're a great locally owned, family-run business by the Townsends. Great people, great product, great service. Take advantage of this special. Save $1,000 on the CareSoft Elite Plus One system. Discover the Alamo Water Softeners difference. Go to alamowatersofteners.com. That's alamowatersofteners.com.
When you need an electrician, Hill Electric is available 24/7 for residential and commercial needs. If you're having to rework your office, let Hill Electric design your socially distanced space to ensure each workstation has the proper electrical needs. For over 35 years, the family-owned Hill Electric has served San Antonio. There is never a service charge and always free estimates. Call Hill Electric at 210-404-9074. That's 404-9074. Or go to hill-electric.com.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. Call today, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. I play at BetUS, and so should you. BetUS.com.
Join now and get up to 200% in bonuses on your first deposit. Call 1-800-MY-BET-US.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
Twin Peaks is adding one of the most well-kept secrets in all the beer community to select Texas drink menus. Yes, Yuengling Traditional Lager is here. Starting August the 11th, participating Twin Peaks lodges will serve that coveted Northeastern Premium Lager at a perfect 29 degrees. In addition to its scenic views and those made-from-scratch menus, Yuengling Traditional Lager pairs perfectly with Twin Peaks Nashville Hot Chicken and, those hand-smashed and seared burgers and those great new loaded fries. Twin Peaks eats, drinks, and, those scenic views.
This is the home of the Cowboys, Rangers, and Aggie football. KCDC, San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Jason Minix, the Blitz.
Welcome back to the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. I'm Jason Minix. We get out early today, 6:30 as we get ready for Astros and Rangers, but 30 minutes left of the show. But, boy, we've saved the best for last on this Wednesday afternoon. Texas State head coach Jake Spavital joining us now after a big win down in Miami over the weekend. Coach Spav, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you saying that. You say the best for last, but all's good, man.
Well, when you're working with a coach's schedule, it's like, can you do this time? No, I got a meeting. Can you do this time? No, we got this. I mean, all right. So it's about 6 o'clock. Let's get it done.
No, man. I appreciate being on, man.
All right. So, but before we talk about this week's game, let's talk about Saturday. And I got a question that has nothing to do with the game itself, except for how great you guys looked. Who does your uniforms, and what do you do with those uniforms, especially those helmets after the game?
Yeah, our equipment manager, Andrew Johnson, he takes a lot of pride in our uniform combos, and he always does a uniform video that he releases on Thursday. And we just started doing it, over the past few years, and it just started to kind of make some national news. It was on College Game Day. Just the opportunity for us to kind of showcase and try to, build our brand a little bit. But, at the end of the year, a lot of people would like the uniform combos, like the helmet, would like maybe a different jersey of some sort. So we kind of leave that up to kind of auctioning at the end of the year just to try to raise some money. But, Andrew Johnson is the guy that does it all, man. He does a really good job.
They looked incredible. I saw it on game day. I saw it on Twitter beforehand, but I see all the national recognition. The week before, the Bear had you guys, on College Game Day to cover against the Baylor Bears. I see Sanford Steve on SVP talking about you. How does Texas State get so much national love from Bristol?
Yeah, I've got a pretty good relationship with those guys over the years, just with my time at A&M and West Virginia and Cal Berkeley. Just been fortunate, to build some good relationships with them. And, and we always talked about how, I took this job and they said that they're going to root for us. And, I just always talk to them about how we're trying to build a brand and we need as much help and as much recognition as we possibly can just to keep, building this place and moving forward. And just very fortunate. I always laugh when, you look up and the Bears got you on the board on College Game Day, and then you have the uniform video. So that's 2 weeks in a row that we made College Game Day. So hopefully we can make it again this week.
Well, you got to go for the hat trick this week as you got UIW coming up to San Marcos. It's going to be a fun game with Eric Morris and Jake Spavital squaring off. What's the over-under on passes in this game?
Well, I know Eric very well, and I just looking at what he's done in the past 5 games that we broke down. He was 70% pass in those 5 games combined. So, I think it's going to be a pretty exciting game to watch. Because we both come from the same background. We both like to spread it out and throw it around a little bit, and it's all about space. And I think it's going to be a very entertaining game because I know Eric's going to come in and he's going to throw it all over the place.
Well, and you guys, do a lot. And I watched some of your game the other night from Miami, especially late fourth quarter and the overtime. I know when we've talked in the past, and even last year, you guys seem to play or did play more games than anybody else last year. As you're building this program, how close are you to having this group where you want it to be?
Yeah, we're getting close. Like over the past 2 weeks, we've had a ton of injuries, a ton of things that have caused us some issues to kind of look through our depth charts a little bit more. And you kind of look at, where you stand and you're pleased with that. We do have depth that, when we get down to our, third, fourth, and fifth offensive linemen in a game that, we can be competitive. And I think that we still got to continue to grow. We got to be bigger. We got to be stronger. We got to be longer. We got to be faster, and that's something that I thought we were very lacking in 2019, and we've gotten better every single year. So, I think the depth is finally starting to get there. Now we got to start finding some of those game changing, those playmakers that really can change a game for you. And, but I'm really pleased with our staff and with everybody where we're at because, I think everybody sees that we're getting better every single year.
Jake Spavital, head coach of the Texas State Bobcats, joining us here on the Blitz on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Learning how to win is such a big part of the equation. And you go back to last year, and now you come out, you open against Baylor. There's no moral victories from your side, and I understand that, but you guys played well. That game last weekend in overtime, that was a team that looked like they know how to win. I don't know last year if Texas State wins that game.
No, you're exactly right. Like last year, we had so many gut-wrenching losses. There's so many close games. And that to give our kids credit, they show up and they keep working. I think they have tremendous fight. They play with great effort. But it's like it's hard to win games, and hopefully they can get a taste of what it's like to persevere through adversity and work together as a team. And they didn't have any panic, and they had a belief that we could win on Saturday. And hopefully they get a taste of this, and we can start stacking wins on top of it and keep building from there. But I'm telling you, you're spot on with that. It is very hard to teach that winning feeling. And once you get a taste of it, it gets pretty contagious.
Well, and I mean, you look at FIU, what they have about 70 yards more of total yards in that game. They threw the ball for more yards. You guys did win time of possession in that one, but when you look at some of the stats, granted, it was in overtime, but a winning team figures out how to win that game, and you guys did.
Yeah, and it was the first time we played off of momentum swings. The defense had 3 turnovers, and we scored points off of those turnovers. And, it's a game of, momentum swings. And I thought the offense struggled at times, but the defense elevated their play. In the fourth quarter, we had some issues with our punt return team. We kept fair catching the ball inside the 5-yard line. And our defense, and we kept trying to work our way out, and then we'd punt back to them, and the defense would hold them out of field goal range, and we just managed the clock in that fourth quarter just to get out alive and get to overtime. And once we got to overtime, we had such a great feeling because we had field position in our favor when you started in overtime. So it was really fun to just watch those kids celebrate after the game because we saw them work together and just go through the highs and lows of the game, but just kept believing that they could win the game.
And now you've got UIW coming in 6:00 at Bobcat Stadium there in San Marcos. You and Eric Morris have kind of gone through a very similar path and very connected. When you're going against a friend and somebody that you know well, and they know you well, what kind of wrinkles, not that I expect you to tell me exactly what you're going to do, but what kind of wrinkles do you put in just because you got an idea that you know his tendencies just as much as he knows yours?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. We've been thinking about that all week. We both coach the quarterbacks the same way. We operate the scheme the same way. We know the ins and outs and the checks. So you have to get a little bit more innovative, and kind of show some wrinkles that, that they haven't prepared for. That's always been one of those deals. Like, I don't know if you remember, like when I was like in the Big 12, there was times where you had Cliff running the same offense as Dana Holgerson while we were running, and then Oklahoma State was running the same offense, and Lincoln Riley was running the same offense, and Doug Meacham at TCU was running the same offense, and David Beatty was running the same offense at Kansas. It was just everybody could line up, and if you wanted a 3-by-1 set, everybody called it early, and it had the same exact signal. So then you had to really get creative. You had to be like, all right, They know our signals. They know how the QB operates in the check. So the Big 12 got pretty interesting there for about a couple years because you had all these air raid guys in there that were literally changing their complete style. And that's why Dana went back to being more 12 personnel, and you start seeing the evolution of tight ends because, you have to be creative when everybody knows how you kind of operate. So I think Eric will be doing the same thing with us as we're going to be doing with him. So you're going to see a pretty interesting game. I think you're going to see a lot of, unique sets, a lot of motions and stacks and unbalanced formations and shot plays and quick screens. So it's going to be a pretty fun game to watch because, we're trying to throw a lot of different things that probably each team has not seen yet.
UIW against Texas State, Saturday, 6 o'clock, Bobcat Stadium, as we visit with Bobcats head coach Jake Spavital here on the Blitz. You look at UIW and for your defense to get ready for the ability of Cam Ward, who's an incredible young quarterback, but also they got a great running game as well with their back. When you've got a quarterback that can sling it all over the place and make all the throws, and then a running back with that kind of talent, who do you focus on? Well, I mean, who's getting more attention this week, Cam Ward or Kevin Brown?
Oh, that's a tough question right there because, they're all solid players, and I think that that's the beauty of the scheme that we have is, you've got a quarterback that can stretch it, vertically and really horizontally. So you're going to have to pick and choose. If you're going to go and try to defend the pass, then you're going to be, down in the run fits, and that's where the run game starts hitting. So what you have to do is you have to have a variety of looks, and you got to keep changing the looks up for the quarterback. Because, if you stay stationary the entire time, then he's going to know exactly what he needs to do with the ball. So we got to make sure that we're being as multiple as we can and understanding if we can maybe feel like if they're going to run a ball in a certain situation, then let's play run. And if not, we think he's going to throw it, then we got to end up, spreading out the field a little bit and playing pass. But, at the end of the day, you can't be perfect calling plays. So these kids are going to be in one-on-one battles, and we have to elevate our play and win those one-on-one matchups.
Jake Spavital, head coach at Texas State, with us here on the Blitz. Now, Eric Morris is on with me on Thursdays, Coach. I'm going to ask him this question, so you can't BS me here. What side bet do you guys have on this game between you and Eric?
I was going to actually hit him up Thursday, so I need to get to him early then, so you have some more content on Thursday. But it's always the deal. When you play your buddies, it's you kind of wait till later in the week when the game plan's in place, and then you just have some fun with it all. Because Thursday night's the night that typically, the game plan's in, the kids are done with the, with all of their practices, and really just have a Friday kind of, perfect Friday practice to gain some confidence going into game day. So we'll have some fun with it on Thursday.
All right. So typically in a situation like this, what kind of bets do you guys make? Is it dinners? Is it dollars? Is it shots of Fireball? It's got to be something.
Yeah, it's probably shots of Fireball or just some sort of a drink after season. You're in a hole for about 6 months being a college football coach, and then we always meet at the AFCA convention. This year will be in I believe San Antonio. So. Maybe we'll meet up then and we'll pay our bets respectfully.
Good deal. Jake Spavital, head coach of the Texas State Bobcats. Congrats on the win this past weekend and the great showing against the Baylor Bears. I think you finally got the ship turned in the right direction up there in San Marcos. Coach, always appreciate the time.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. You're the best. Appreciate it, Jason.
Appreciate it. Jake Spavital, head coach of the Texas State Bobcats. And they've got UIW on Saturday. Eric Morris will be on the Blitz tomorrow at 4:30. We're going to find out what the bet is. We will. We got to, right? That's going to be a good football game. There are, all right, think about this. And I try to spread the love because I don't want to hear from the UTSA types. UTSA Middle Tennessee in the Dome. That's going to be a hell of a football game, and I want to pack the Dome. UIW against Texas State. That's a big game for UIW. And I think UIW is going to go into Bobcat Stadium and beat the Bobcats. Jake's off the line, right? I'm taking UIW to go upset them. But Texas State's good. I mean, what I saw on Saturday night when I was flipping around, that's a good football team. A little about that Baylor game. I don't want to say they probably should have beat Baylor, but they had opportunities. I mean, I do think for the first time since Jake Spavital has gotten to San Marcos, that they've kind of finally put it together. Last year, they were competitive but lost so many tough games. This year, the Baylor game, that was a good showing against a Big 12 team. And then winning a game in overtime. They learned how to win. And they run the ball a lot more than you would think from a Jake Spavital because, well, quarterback play. And then I look at what Eric Morris has. So you can go up I-35 and watch a lot of local talent play at Bobcat Stadium. Go into the Alamo Dome in the AC and watch a good UTSA game. You can even go over to Seguin and watch the Trinity Tigers as they take on TLU. I mean, you think about what, Jeremy Urban and what he's got working at Trinity and has for so long. There's 3 good games, college football games in our area on Saturday. Decisions. What does Texas have this week, Bryce?
Yeah.
A&M beat the hell out of New Mexico.
Less good games.
All right. Now look, I understand. I'm the same way. I look at the games on TV and what am I going to miss by going to a game in person? Last week, I wanted to go to the Dome, but I knew that was going to be an ugly football game, and it was. Credit to those students that stayed to the very end. I think they probably had their pizza party today, right? Didn't Jeff Traylor tell us it was going to be a big old pizza party on Wednesday? It was going to order up 1,000 Pizza Hut pizzas and feed the students for showing up, which is great. As a guy that has a kid in college, you could basically bribe a college kid to do anything with food. And if you're having a meeting and you offer free pizza, you're going to get high attendance for your organizational club meeting. Jeff Traylor knows that. I'm glad they gave all those kids pizza. This week, my decision is: do I want to go to San Marcos or go sit in the Alamo Dome? To be honest, I'll probably end up at the Rupa, but I'm just saying. Like right now on Wednesday, I haven't gotten tickets to anything yet.
And it's tough because while the Texas game's likely going to be a blowout, you're getting to watch Casey Thompson make the start and see what the difference between him and Hudson Card is in his first start.
I don't know if I'm going to see that though. I really don't. And I'll tell you why. Hudson Card looked good against Louisiana. It took him a little bit, but he looked good. I don't know that I could fault everything that we saw against Arkansas on Hudson Card. The offensive line got their ass kicked. The defensive line got their ass kicked. Casey Thompson didn't play in linebacker or safety. It was just an all-around butt whooping by Arkansas. Now, because of that, I think you had a young quarterback in Hudson Card who couldn't handle the pressure. The between the ears stuff, the calmness. I think about what Clint Sterner told us on Monday. Clint Sterner, former quarterback in the NFL, former Arkansas quarterback, cost me a bottle of tequila, kept saying he was watching his eyes. And he was looking down at the line play, looking where the rush was coming from instead of looking downfield to where the receivers are. And then missed a lot of big throws. His feet weren't set. It was all about footwork in that game. Are you going to see better play out of Casey? They're playing Rice. I would hope so. So if he goes out and looks tremendous against Rice, I think a lot of people start questioning Sark. And that's not fair either. I give Sark a lot of credit for changing quarterbacks after week 2. Because in a lot of ways, that's admitting you're wrong. I picked the wrong guy. The guy I picked couldn't handle the big game pressure. But just because Casey Thompson looks great against Rice doesn't mean he's going to look great against Oklahoma in early October. And that's why. So I don't know if I'm going to get overly excited if Casey Thompson goes in there and lights it up. And I expect Hudson Card to get some reps because Sark has told me that's going to happen. And if he gets in there against Rice and looks great, all we're going to really learn from that is you got 2 really good quarterbacks playing a team that's much weaker than you, and you look good against them, and you should. If one of those 2 guys struggles against Rice, then the alarm bells start sounding for Longhorn fan. I mean, I think that's what it boils down to.
I get it, but at the same time, I know the Dogs were called off late in the Arkansas game by the time Casey Thompson got in there. But Casey Thompson adds a dynamic to that Longhorn offense that Hudson Card does not.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, I thought coming into the bowl game last year and seeing what Casey Thompson did against Colorado with my own eyes at last year's Valero Alamo Bowl, I'm impressed. Casey Thompson doesn't have to prove anything to me. He doesn't. I know what I've seen Casey Thompson live in person, but I'm not going to get overly excited by watching him destroy the Rice Owls. I'm not. You know what I'm looking for? You know what I'm looking for is the Texas offensive linemen to dominate the Rice Owl defensive line the way Arkansas dominated Texas.
Truth.
That's what I want to see. I want to see better line play. How much were those boys coached up this week? How miserable did this coaching staff at UT make those players this week? Because for years, decades, we talk about the coddled Texas Longhorns. I want to see if Sark is going to continue that trend, or did he get in their face this week? Did he get in there and coach them up? Did he get in there and make them uncomfortable? Because that was an embarrassing loss for Texas. How do they respond to it? And I'm not worried about the quarterback. I'm talking about the line. Both sides. Can they go in there and dominate? Can they go down and push around a weaker opponent like Arkansas did last week? Texas was the weaker opponent last week. I need Texas to return the favor. I hope those boys have a bad taste in their mouth all week. Don't let them brush their teeth. Just let them go to work every day mad. That is what I want to see from Sark. Did he take the How to Coddle Longhorn Player book off the shelf that Mac Brown wrote and throw it away? Charlie Strong followed it. Tom Herman followed it. And they're both not with Texas anymore. I want to see something change in that Texas program. How did they respond to a loss? To me, that's more important, as opposed to how good Casey Thompson or Hudson Card look against a Rice Owl football team. The money game for Texas. It should be. They should dominate that game. That's what I want to see.
I'd like to see Zach Calzada look comfortable this week too.
And with a week of practice and a game plan for Zach, I think for A&M, again, against a weaker New Mexico team, I think you're going to see that. You know, there's a reason we heard that there was a tough competition. We're going to find out real quick because Haynes King isn't coming back in the next couple of weeks. We certainly know that. Right now, I'm leaning UTSA. Could end up in San Marcos. Could end up at the Roo Pub. Who knows? We got Texas Rangers baseball coming up next here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Game 3 of their 4-game set with the Astros. Don't forget R&R in the morning. Tomorrow morning at 7. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 4.
Your source to local news and sports in San Antonio begins with the San Antonio Express News. We've collected, written, and shown the stories that matter most to San Antonio. Look no further than the San Antonio Express News to continue to provide information and strength to the community. Whether it's on the field or on a court, we provide the ground local